Okie doke, and welcome once again. Let me close this and open up my topics file. I hope everyone had a wonderful week. I certainly did. It was busy, but wonderful. We had Nathan's graduation Thursday, and it was like a 2.5 hour event. So it was done at his church at the school. So we had to go to mass for 1 hour, and then the kids went outside, and then they re-entered with the pomp and circumstance music, da 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 da, beautiful. And I hooked up with a trio of photographers that were there. It's a company in Virginia that does a lot of school events, so they've been very busy this last couple of weeks, shooting all of these different events, graduations, and such. I think probably only private schools hires them because it's got to cost money. I know these three young people were carrying on their bodies probably at least $35,000 worth of equipment. Yeah, was I jealous? Of course I was. There I was with my little Nikon D3300, and they are shooting with these fancy Nikon mirrorless megapixel sensor cameras. Yes. But anyway, I got to talk to them and it was great. I did find out a lot about what they do, and it was awesome. They did a really good job. They all knew how to properly hold their cameras, and I was, immediately checking to make sure of that. But anyway, I did mingle with them. I kind of got in the way a couple of times. I got told very politely to, not get in front of them. I just had to shoot pictures of Nathan as well as his friends, and then we went out to lunch to a famous little uh, place in Kensington, not Kensington, in Olney, called the Ale House, ALE, like ale house, and it had burned, had a fire a couple years ago, and they remodeled it, renovated it, and fixed it, and it was wonderful. It was a lot of fun, and so here we are now. Just recently, I was having a conversation with Mike Cheney, and I think he's here today. Yes, and we were talking about Print Prism and how was it doing, and apparently what we thought would be just a an explosive release of this amazing software. I think there's a lot of doubt still from people who are just you know traditional profile creators using traditional equipment, who may have heard about possibly using scanners in the past for profile creation, and they just scoff at it, and so you have to sort of compete with these mindsets. And I was one of those as well. When I heard that Mike was considering doing this, I thought, oh geez, why? I have a Spectral $1,500. It's top of the line. There's nothing that can surpass the quality that I can produce. Well, my wife always says that I am the most stubborn person she's ever met. I think that's why she sort of liked me initially, um, enough to say yes when I proposed. But nevertheless, as more people use this and they become familiar with it, they have come to learn that it actually does work. It's because they really didn't think about the way that Mike approached this. And when I think back and I think about it and I analyze the process, I have to say it was pure genius. And I really do appreciate that. I like to hang around and involve myself with people with big, giant brains, not aliens, but you know what I mean. Yeah, intelligent folks. And I know quite a few of those. And I just kick back and I just listen to them I interject once in a while, but I try to just learn from them. And it helps me in my old age, if you will, to get beyond certain walls that I have built for myself. In other words, I'm not gonna go beyond this. I'm gonna stay where I am at. By the way, when I was opening up StreamYard, completely new interface. So one of the options was auto audio adjustment. Is everybody hearing me okay? Just wondering about that. I didn't want to set it to a certain volume level. And if I get too close, then it gets loud. If I get too far, it gets quiet. So I'm just wondering how you guys are hearing me today. Anyway, let's jump over to the chat. We'll say hello. We have about 14 people here. Yeah, that's understandable. I wouldn't want to give up my Saturday to listen to me live. I'll watch me later, if you will. But I appreciate the few of you who are here with us. Tell us who you are, where you're watching from, what equipment do you currently own as far as photo printing goes. Um, Tell us if you're having success. Have you tried Print Prism? Is it working for you? Have you been able to do a comparison like I am about to show you? Um, and so on. And just share that information with us. That way we know who the heck in the world, if you guys even that far, is watching this live stream and interacting with us in our little group here. So Fred Elias is here from Warren, Michigan. He's got Print Prism 210 already, and many other goodies are our papers. Love the metallics and EcoTank 8550, all OEM. Awesome. The folks that were visiting me, this is Harold Davies. I call him a different name because I consider myself family with him. We are like brothers, so he calls me by my family nickname, which no one else can do except for my family. And I call him by his family name, which again, no one else but family members can do. So I consider that an honor. So they were here last week. I think I told you guys about all of that. Had a wonderful time. And his friend Mark has an 8550 as well. He's not a printer per se like Harold is. He's got a 4400 Canon, so that, and the 2100 as well. No, the 1100. And he has gone through the 1000 as well. And so, yeah, it's the printer to get, really, folks. And only because it prints such wonderful photographs, it also has that built-in scanner that you can utilize with Print Prism. Um, why not have a combination that not only produces great prints, but also can be used in conjunction with Print Prism, and allow you to create, well, we'll see how good the profiles are. You know how good they are. But I did this the other day. It took me, I think, after slight editing, I didn't really edit much except for some of the flubs that you know, when I'm trying to speak, um, I cut those out. But for the most of the video, 99% of the video is real time. So you see what it takes to do both methods. Let's not get into that right now. All right. So he's got Red River, Ilford, Canson, Staples, Photoshop, Lightroom, Classic, and DxO Photolab 9. Photo Nikon 780. I made a mistake and left my small black border when printing my Print Prism targets in QImage, which caused issues. Thanks to Mike Cheney for the great customer support. So I read that earlier as we were waiting for the time to come on, 12 o'clock. And I'm wondering, what do you mean you had a border such as a stroke around the image? Now, with this new version of the chart, you get a big, humongous border. And I don't know whether that has anything. Are you still using the older chart? Because that would create an issue. I don't think it matters with the new chart, which comes already with a very large black border. All the software needs to do is locate the little corner brackets. I don't know. We'll talk about that a little later. Henry Stoffel, cold and rainy Medford, Massachusetts. Epson P800, OEM Inks, Print Prism 2026 210, Epson V39 2 scanner, and of course, QMH Ultimate 112 lifetime. So he's got the standalone scanner that if you don't happen to own an 8550, you can just buy that. What is it, $70 or something like that? And then 45 at this point, I think is what Print Prism sells for. So yeah, quite a bargain, quite a bargain. And you can start making profiles like we're going to be doing later on today. Oh, okay. So that video was a whole 1 hour and like 11 minutes long. Um, have lots of coffee with you, but I want you to put yourself through the torture of watching me make a profile using the traditional method. Okay. And then we do one using Print Prism. And I think it should be absolutely obvious which one you would probably choose to do. Okay. Especially if you don't have time to kill. And it takes a lot of work with your hands as well. So, HZ from the Netherlands, fair spring weather. This week I had the opportunity to use a high-end profile. You mean profiler? It made me think Print Prism does have its limits in terms of accuracy. We'll investigate further. Well, no one ever said that Print Prism will produce or greatly excel a profile created by traditional methodology here. I1 Pro 2. No one said that. And if you're trying to examine profiles via a 3D viewer, sure, you will see the difference. The thing is, what do we use to examine our prints? Our eyes. I'm going to get deep into that philosophy a little bit later on today. Um, we're talking, in this case, in my case, relatively cheap, 1,500 plus paper costs and ink and my time, compared to, like I said, if you have to buy a standalone scanner, you're talking $130 total, plus paper, plus ink, and a much less amount of my time. And my time is very valuable. Okay. Make sure you also value your time as very high. Okay, good. Just find audio. What? Or just fine. Okay. I thought you wanted me to find it. No. Okay. Print prism depends on precise black border on the target. If you add a black border stroke, it throws off the correct. Okay. So print prism knows how wide the border is supposed to be. Okay. Was using the new chart, and yes, the black stroke around the chart. Print prism could not locate the corners properly. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean you couldn't possibly do it manually. You could, but why bother? I like the automation part of it. Okay, so you watched the video this morning. Excellent. And please, I know there's going to be a lot of ads, but I would love to at least make $3 on that video. Yeah, that would make me feel so warm inside. Um, but anyway, so why did I do this? Why did I perform this ridiculous test when I sort of jokingly said that this thing was going to collect dust? Well, I had to prove it. I had to show you guys. So let me just get everything here together. And then we can begin. I think the chart is still in my scanner. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. So when you do the traditional method, you're going to open up the software. We all know what software that is. I'm not going to be mentioning names here. Okay. Um, and I chose, normally I do a 400 patch sheet, a single sheet. That way, if I am working on papers that are a little costly or I have a limited amount of that paper, I used to buy the sample packs, and especially if I found them relatively cheap on eBay. They do sell those. You have to look out for those. And I would buy several of them and then consolidate the different papers that came with each pack. And I would end up with maybe 6 of each. So if I could make a single sheet profile with, say, 400 patches, yeah, it's going to have to interpolate a lot. 400, and then figure out what the next 16 million plus patches would be. Okay, colors, that is, that an 8-bit file would theoretically be able to contain. So rather than do that, simply because I was using Staples matte paper, and it's just like $22 for 50 sheets, maybe more than that now. I did the triple sheet profile, and here it is right here. I mean, chart printing. Here it is right here. And I let that dry overnight. I came back, opened up my software again, and I skipped beyond the printing section, calibrated my spectrophotometer. That took a couple of minutes, and then began to scan. So I have a guide that allows me to slide that scanner across each row, and I have to manually then adjust that guide to the next row and the next row and the next row. And I'm doing a double scan. I'm doing, press the button, it goes beep. If you watch my video, you'll see me do that boring, the complete process, put you to sleep. And all the way across about this speed. So that's like 5 seconds. Click again, and then back again. Beep, and then slide down. That takes about another 5 seconds to adjust that, and click and scan again at that speed, and let go of the button, press the button again. Now, if you get an error like a beep, 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 like that, that means you messed up somehow. You got to start all over again. So, hopefully you will not do that while you're down here. Okay. Although I think it allows you to just rescan that one row and not have to do the whole shebang all over again. So I did all of those. I really don't know how long it took me. I would have to go back and actually scan the video itself to see how long, but it takes a long time. And once that is done, it will say successful or not. And then you go to the next section. It gives you a kind of a you see this color chart, and you can choose D50, which is normal for ICC profiles, or some other white point in case you're going to be displaying photos only at a specific gallery with a specific type of or temperature of lights. So you have to adjust that. Precision Colors offered that. He not only made D50 profiles, but profiles for all sorts of different illuminants available way back then, before LEDs became so popular, almost universal now. So that's it. Once you are done, then you type in a name you want to give it and click create profile. It makes a profile. Then you get to see it in 3D form. You examine it, make sure that everything looks correct. The typical shape of a profile, you will see that. If you see like a big divot or something happened. It should look like a normal 3D view of a profile. And that's it. You're done after that. Well, that took maybe half an hour. Okay. I'm not counting, the printing. And you have to do that manually. You open up the chart. You want to do a 2-sheet, 1-sheet, 3-sheet, whatever. And then you go to your printer driver and you select no color adjustment. select the type of paper that matches the type of paper you're going to be creating the charts on, and so on and so on and so on. You have to do everything manually. So then I jump over to Print Prism, and at that time it was the 200 version, not the 210 that is available now. And simply you just go to print the chart, pick my printer, again, paper, quality, size, 8.5 by 11. And do I have to choose no color or just no? It's automatically set to that. So basically the printer, the type of paper, and high quality, of course, size and high quality. And then you get this. So from this to this. So while I was scanning this, in fact, while I was scanning the first one, I could have had this already created, because the amount of time that this requires to create a profile is just a fraction of what it would normally take you with a traditional method. Now, again, I say, and please do not quote me accusing me or whatever that I say, oh, this produces better profiles than a spectral. Of course not. How could it possibly do that? Okay. All right. Don't get me wrong. But how do we evaluate our prints? Do we use a colorimeter and take readings of all the cheek? And they did that at the Pentagon with presidents. Yeah, we did. It wasn't quite a colorimeter as we know it now, but a very similar instrument. And that facial tone of Ronald Reagan back in the 80s when I was working there had to be identical. Every print we made. The rest, yeah, not so much. But when we did pictures of with the president smug on there, it had to be done exactly the same continuously. Every time we had a picture of the president, it had to be correct. Didn't care about the rest. Just make sure his face tone matches. All right, so 1,600 patches over 9,000. How many, Mike? 9. Let's just say over 9,000. So that means immediately less interpolation required. All right. So anyway, we are done now. We created our profiles. Sure, one only took about 5 minutes total time, and the other one, say half an hour. Okay, I have to really go back and check. But the nitty gritty is this. Let's print some pictures. Let's print some images here. And then we can decide if my claim, well, no, I'm not claiming anything, but you know what I'm talking about. If what I say makes sense, in other words, that sure, if I had to choose and I had no equipment, would I spend $1,500? Especially I'm learning how to do this. Sure, later on I can spend $3,000 on a Pro 3. Oh, I would love to have one of those, especially the new ones with LED light sources. Yeah, I would love to have one of those. I could do wonders with that and take my time. I don't care about my time, okay? But other people might. So this is on top, i1 Pro 2, on the bottom, P200. And you have to, I always say this one high, it's kind of high looking down at me. This one is like 2 feet away from me. And I sort of try to adjust the brightness as well as I could. If I move around, you see it changing. So I don't want to hover in just one spot. If you see a drastic difference, then you know which one is better than the other one. Okay. We're looking at color balance. We're looking at density and color balance here. Right off the bat. First thing I look at is color balance and density. It's a neutral. Well, we have a control for neutral right here. Okay. You tell me, yeah, there's some slight differences. Of course there are. Of course. But they're not like, oh my God, it looks so bad. There's no way I'm going to try print prism. I'm going to try the other method. I'm going to take out my wallet and spend $1,500 and be able to have an instrument like Joe has. It's getting dusty over here. Sorry, I had to say that. Okay, so let's analyze this a little bit closer. So one of the things that I always look for, and this is just me, I'm making up my own analytical process for this. I'm not following anyone else's thinking process. You can go to their site where they created this. I think it was image something in the UK is what Mr. Johnson. No, Mr. Cooper. Um, and it'll tell you what each one of these little and the collage represents and how to interpret what you are looking at. So one thing I always look at first, and again, a lot of these things are like beyond what your normal images will actually have. So let's look at this. I want to see neutrality throughout. I don't want to see it change hue, change color. So that means that across the board, every gray, from black all the way to white, every gray remains relatively neutral, to the point where you can actually see that it is neutral. It's not really blatantly changing hue. It doesn't look like a duotone. Duotones used to be very popular at one time. All right. So another one that I look at immediately is here. These transitions. This is the one with the spectrophotometer. They're very smooth. And again, remember, we're working with an 8550. It's not really what you would refer to as a pro level photo printer. It's a slight little bit of it's not as smooth as this one. You see that one? It's just, yeah, a little bit abrupt. It's still there, it's smooth, but it's not as smooth. But I don't see like any disruptions in the form of a band. In other words, where it's just this color, oh, and then it becomes another density immediately. It's not there. The outer gamut colors, because this is PP 200. Okay, and then these are the ones produced by the spectrophotometer. It's always the green, folks, the green shades that are difficult. Well, you can see. Then you look at these on your hopefully calibrated monitor, and you can see those are absolutely neon-like. They cannot be printed. Cannot. They're just super difficult. If you do a gamut warning, they just go away, completely covered with gray. The strawberries also. There are some areas there that are out of gamut. But you can see both methods produced edible looking strawberries. Okay. Again, I look at this and I see the difference of what I see on the screen. And this is calibrated with a spectrophotometer. All right, let's look at the actual pretty tough image here to print. It has some really strong colors. Let me line this up. How does it go? This way. So on the left is your spectra. On the right is the print prism result. Yeah, it's a little bit different size. I messed up when I was sizing it. My bad. Mike can yell at me. But anyway, look at that. So these are difficult colors to reproduce, difficult levels of saturation. There's a lot of outer gamut everywhere. And I use perceptual for both. I mean, relative colorimetric for both when I was printing them. In fact, just the default settings in QImage Ultimate. So again, print prism and spectrophotometer. And yeah, well, that's it. Like I say, the proof is in the pudding. If you look at this, if I don't show you the actual identifications, like over there, and Where is it? Over here and over here. Over here. I keep flipping. This is, of course, like this. You would not really be able to tell, I don't think, which is which. Um, Again, I apologize. Video sucks for this type of comparison, but you would have to be here with me, and we would put this under my umbrella with a correct temperature light bulb and take a look at it. Now I'm looking at dynamic range here. Both of them. If you look at this, and it's difficult to see, I can backlight it, but the same level of dynamic range I'm showing on both prints. So it's amazing. Also here as well, although it is impossible to see on video. But if I backlight this, you can see it clearly. But anyway, that's the thing. So a method that costs, let's see, if I divide $130 into $1,500, how many X times is that less cost? And of course, you have to then consider the time that you have to spend. And you have to do it carefully. You have to do it correctly so that you don't get an error. And then you have to redo the whole process again. Or maybe start where you left off. In other words, yeah, it's amazing. So let me put this out of the way here. And I thought, okay, big stinking deal. So I can get a color photograph that sort of matches. Okay. And it's close enough so that I really cannot tell very easily which one was produced with what method. So let's look at a monochrome. And yeah, in fact, I'll just hold both of them up. 200 here, and the spectrum right here. And the problem is, I think both of these lights, one of them is a little bit warmer than the other one, because you can see the change as I move along and get blasted more with this light and then this light over here. But look at the tonality. Then we look at the dude right here on the right. This image is brutal. And gosh, the EcoTank 8550 did an amazing job on it. I can see detail. He's wearing a hoodie, and I can see detail here where I also saw it on the screen as I was printing it. Yeah, you can see how uneven my lighting is. But right there, okay, I'm right smack in the middle of this one here. So right there you can see which is which, folks. It should be day and night. It should be like, Print Prism 200, crap. i1 Pro, excellent. No, folks, both of them are good. Both of them are outstanding. Now, this is, of course, that was the demanding image. Let's look at the less demanding one. I'm not going to examine the actual image, but I'm looking at tones here. So I'm sliding back and forth, get different areas of lighting here. I'm looking for a drastic tonal range or change between one and the other. There is a slight difference, absolutely. And you can actually fix that now, so that from now on, every time you print, imagine if I make if I think this is a little bit warmer than this, which if I move it around, it sort of maybe looks that way. It's difficult, I know. I can make an adjustment in Print Prism. There's a color wheel now, and all that is, it's not a color wheel like you're used to using. You click on it, it opens up a little square with a gray patch in it, and you just move that selector around, red, green, blue, yellow, magenta, cyan, until the gray patch turns the same color you are seeing on your print. Once you find that, and you got to use your eyes, once you find that, you stop, and then you create a new profile. So rescan that not rescan, but recreate, right, Mike? You recreate that profile with that adjustment, and it will incorporate that slight tint adjustment. You will not see it in your color prints. Color color obliterates that slight little change, maybe in tonality. You will not be able to see it. But when you print a monochrome, you can see it. It immediately becomes apparent, especially when you compare it with something absolutely neutral. And then I think Mike said to just if that is your only profile you're making for one paper, the only printer you have, yeah, just save it as, and then it'll save. And then every print you make, of course, your color prints will be near perfect, but also your monochromes will be near perfect. And I just got asked today, well, why don't I just print with advanced black and white? Of course you can. Of course. Print with advanced black and white. The same thing applies. You look at your result and you say, oh, that looks a little magenta. Here you have to guess, though. You have to go to the color wheel and remove magenta. In other words, move it over to green. And how much? I don't know how much. You have to add a little green to neutralize the magenta. It's going to be globally applied. Print another print. Oh, no, that's not. I went too far. Now it's becoming magenta. Let me reduce the magenta a little bit, go back to green, and so on. You do several of these until you finally arrive at your, and then you have to manually save the numbers of the adjustments you made. No, I just make a profile, okay, and it'll have those built-in minuscule adjustments that you will not see in the color images you print, only when you print monochrome. So you might as well, from that point onward, just use that slightly adjusted. It'll be like your perfect profile at that point, because you went and micro adjusted it so that a neutral image that printed with a slight green tint now prints neutral. Okay. Yes, the process is not perfect. If you do get a slight tonal change where you see it, it bugs you, perform that adjustment and redo the profile. It will be integrated into that new profile, and it will automatically shift that from here to here. That's it. You will see it in black and white printing, but you will not see it in color. It's just color, overwhelms that tiny little change. All right. Now, what if you have, let me just give you an example here. An actual situation. So, long time ago, Red River sent me these. So this is Pecos River Gloss, 60 pound. This one is 5x7 Polar Matte, 96 pounds. So this is pretty thick, heavy. I would need 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. That's same paper, but just larger, to be able to print my chart. Sure, you would need that, but actually you can get away with not doing that. And I'll show you what I just did. And I did this last week. And I have yet to do anything with the new Print Prism 210, but I want to know if Mike introduced it. Remember, Mike, you told me that you were going to make that little warning a little bit less mean sounding. When you scan this one, look at this compared to this. Teeny weeny, okay, micro. And I'm wondering, there's no way in God's green earth this is going to work. So I thought, okay, I only have 5x7. What if I choose 5x7? The program, Print Prism, the print module, automatically fits that file, the chart, into my 5x7. And then if I then print it and then attempt to scan it, will it work? Well, it threw an error. It told me that I couldn't find it and would I like to stop or just continue? And I thought, well, if you cannot find it, why should I bother continuing? Mike interjected and said, no, you should have clicked on continue. So let's do this. I already did one for this. This is actually Canon Pro Luster. So this is that Pecos River gloss. Now I want to show you as well. And I'll have to turn this light on because I want you to see. Maybe you'll be able to see it. Maybe you won't. I'm not sure yet. So this is Canon and this is the Pecos. Yeah, you can't. The Canon has a yellowish tint to it. This is like pure white OBA filled fluorescing back at me type look. Okay. So like with any spectrophotometer, any conventional process, when you print on a paper that the base is already very warm, it's going to take that into consideration when you then create the profile, because the patches that I printed over that warm base will be affected slightly. They will not look the same as the patches on that super cold looking paper. Okay. So yeah, there will be a bit difference. You may not see it with your eyes, but it will definitely be seen with the spectrophotometer or the scanning process. We'll just go ahead and pop this into the scanner right now, EcoTank 8550. Now, I want to ask Mike if he would like. Mike, how difficult would it be for you to come on video right now? Let me know. I'm going to go ahead and pop this into the scanner. It's not super centered, but close enough. We'll see. We'll see what kind of results we get. And then while that is going on, let me go ahead and see what else we have here. We have a lot of new stuff here. What I like about this new version of StreamYard is that the ones that I already looked at, your comments, are now grayed out. So I know what I looked at and I know what I did not look at. Okay, so now I got the actual number. That's important. I always say over 9,000. So 9,261 patches. Couldn't have made it 62 patches. Come on. I'm joking. That test image was from Bill Atkinson of my late friend. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. You mean the one with the candles? Yes. Is that the one you mean? I found it somewhere. Or are you talking about the chart? No, that's created by the software. 210 is even smoother in those autogamma colors, especially on matte paper. We got to discuss that. Exactly what the details about this and what do you mean by that? And how do I create a profile using that? So we're going to open up Print Prism in a bit. Let me go through everything here first. Papers that have a limited dynamic range. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, HC says, interesting. I see the same differences I found in photos of mine, which for that image weren't usable. The greens were indeed furthest off. Yeah, but remember those greens are impossible. Okay. Whether I use the spectral ICC profile, whether I use an ICC profile from Red River themselves, you cannot duplicate those those greens. Absolutely. Get used to that. Get used to that. Yeah. And again, that's why I purposely did that test on this printer, because it is considered incapable of high level, photo printing by some really snarky people. Okay. The 8550 has a narrow green edge. I'd be willing to bet your greens were way out of gamut and you need to use perceptual intent. HC, are you talking about your own images or the standard image? Yeah, like Mike said, they're probably out of gamut. Yes, it looks wonderful on the monitor. The monitor can display them. Printers just simply cannot. I don't care if you use a Canon 12, channel printer. You just cannot. I saw another one is the purple range. What we call purple is really optical blue. And we call that purple or cyan. Sky blue is really cyan. But that range of blues getting into the purple zone, very difficult. I did a print purposely showing that where a kid was wearing a purple shirt. He's at the beach with his father. He's about that small, beautiful beach, sunset going on. And somehow on my image, that purple shirt is almost glowing. And I thought, oh, this is not going to work. I did it on the PA100. The purple shirt came out almost like a dark gray with a little bit of purple. The Pro 1, however, with its proprietary blue ink, boom, that shirt came out purple. So it depends on your printer, the color palette that it uses, and of course the print engine, the ICC profile, all of these things. Yeah, I did see a lot of deficiencies in the PA100, and I am sure that is why Epson decided to add violet ink, which is probably very close to the blue ink that Canon printers use. That was a huge deficiency. It just could not cope with that area. And people, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, where you print a landscape with a very gradual sky and you get banding and your nozzle check is perfect and your head alignment is perfect. Something about that cyan range somehow was causing a weird phenomenon where you were getting banding on your skies. And I never found out what the reason for that was. Okay, you have to understand the profiles contain numerous compromises. Even with those, sometimes you need to edit to produce good results. Yeah, just because it looks great on your monitor does not mean that it can be reproduced. You may have to come back and do a little bit of editing. What I used to do is to under soft proofing, make adjustments. Okay, especially under soft proofing and also under gamut warning, and try to reduce. I like saturated images, but then I am also a supporter of natural looking prints instead of over enhanced, if you will. But sometimes you just have to make adjustments so that the printer can handle it, especially the 8550. You got 5 colors. That's it. That's all you have. 2 blacks. So 5 colors in total, actual colors. My intention is to mail you, Mike, with some more of the story. I need to find time for that, though, and with high-end profile, the greens come out fine without editing. All right. Maybe you can attach the profiles. Send one to me as well. I would love to look at and send me what paper you're referring to and so on. Let me put my email here. Feel free to send Mike and myself as well. Anything you would like us to test. 1949. And again, you have to realize you're comparing, no insult intended, but you're comparing a Honda Civic with a, I don't know, Maserati. When you look at the two methodologies involved, one is simple, brilliant, but still utilizing a simple method. Locating the corners. Once I do that, it would be like you locating the corners of a, say, 10-acre farm, the four corners, a rectangular farm. And you look at this, you look at this, you look at this, and I know the coordinate for this one, as far as the global coordinate, this one, and this one. So then I know, because I have, how many was that? 9,200 and whatever. And I know where every one of those little squares lives. And I'm going to drop a selector on every one of those. And it's going to be accurate. Impossible, you say. Yes, that's what's happening. 9,000 plus times. Okay. And then it's reading the central portion of that printed little teeny weeny little square. No one would have believed that was possible. Okay. Including myself. I said in my head, I love you, Mike, with all my heart, but you're out of your mind. And then he proved me wrong, as he does many times. I just have to go, okay, fine. I'll use that from now on. All right, would love to see that example. I'm not surprised. It's not surprising that you can find one image where one profile works better than the other. I bet I could find an image that is worse with the high-end profile. Yeah. We don't, in the photographic world, there is no such thing as a, absolute, in other words. Sure, I can do that with a 12 color printer. I just wanted to show you what a supposed low end, all in one semi photo printer can do. Okay. And the standard is that standard image. Do not compare it against any of your images. Your images are not controls, they're not standards. Use the standard. Okay. I always tell people, if I feel like I have a fever and I shoot myself with one of those little laser things and it says I have 100, really, do I have really 100, or is that thing needs to be calibrated? Can I trust it? You don't know. Yeah. So yeah, always use the standard. It has been tested to no end. Never edit it, open and print it. And then you look at it and you see, okay. Oh, those kids. Oh, yeah. We have some little kid faces here. What are skin tones supposed to look like? Okay. They don't look like little Martians. No offense on anyone from Mars, but the skin tones look identical. Okay. Yeah, these colors will not print, period. You see, there's a different rendition. Which one is more correct? You tell me. You have to look at the one on the monitor, and it's neon. You cannot really use that comparison to what you get on dull paper. Reflective light, transmitted light. It's day and night difference, okay? Okie doke, let's continue on here. This is getting good. So, okay, for this, Charlie, the next test that I do will be using my Pro 1000. That's as good as I can get. Or maybe the Pro 1 even. It also has 12. Photonicon says, I have had people ask me how I get such accurate colors on my prints. They are very close to my calibrator monitor. I explain, I make my own ICC profiles with Print Prism. Spectrophotometer no longer used. Okay, now let's examine this statement. Someone is telling you that you're getting accurate colors on your prints. What are they using as a comparison? Are they standing next to you with your monitor in front of them, because most of the time I show people stuff. I am never going to bring anyone down here and sit them next to me to look at my monitor to examine how close. I'm the one that does that, and if I'm not satisfied, I will not show the prints somewhere to other people to look at. I have to be. It has to pass my test. So when they leave this dark room here, I don't work in that dark room anymore. Anyway, this darkish room here, I have to have put the approval, seal of approval on them. When I deliver prints to the drama club at school, that is as good as I can possibly get. When I deliver prints to um, my grandson's Nathan's school, they have to pass. You see what I mean? When I give prints to people, they already passed my seal of approval. When I gave my visitors last week a box with some prints, they passed my approval. If they did not, they would never have made it so that other eyes could even look at them. They end up in recycling. Okay. That's how crazy I am. Nothing leaves here. So, um, yeah, I could show them, for example, the black and white ones, and show them that regardless of what light source I'm using, they still look neutral and they both look the same level of neutrality. Yeah, but I don't have to bring them here to look at my. Okay, maybe that's not what you meant, Photonica. I didn't mean to, come across that way. It's just that for me, it's just a matter of my internal approval before I take anything out and show some people. Hey, look at this. What do you think of that? Is it accurate? Well, they have no way of knowing, really. All right, but the spectrophotometer is great. I still use it for my monitor. You don't really need a spectro, you need a colorimeter, a little bit cheaper. Um, but and that's the most important thing as well, because now you're not going to be just opening up an image and printing it. You're going to open up an image, and if it's a raw image, you're going to go through the raw processor, and then open it as a say a TIFF file, and edit it. Go through your editing process and change it, because that's what you're doing. You're actually altering the original capture by your sensor in raw form. So yeah, I mean, even if you were, and I don't sell anything. I pretty much give everything away. Um, you know, why not? There's a lot of people that have helped me in my lifetime. So I am doing a job for a young lady that I and my wife absolutely love. And she's from El Salvador. And she's got this amazing daughter who is 14, about to go 15. And in the Latin world, we have quinceañera. It's like sweet 16, but you're 15. So she apparently bought her a beautiful dress, and she would have loved for me to take some pictures. And she's asking me, um, how much do you think it will cost me? And I told her, could you please stop asking me that? No me preguntes eso ya. Dame un abrazo. Te va a costar un abrazo. It's going to cost you a hug. That's it. We're going to go to our beautiful park here in Wheaton, Maryland, and we're going to have a photo shoot on October. And then she's inviting us to a little party afterwards, which is awesome. And again, she asked me again, how much would I charge her? And I said, if you ask me that one more time, I'm not going to do the job for you. But anyway, yeah, no, I don't do that. I feel very uncomfortable doing that. Oh, no, not quite. I am going to be selling my little mini prints and my little canvas prints as well this October at the miniature show in Frederick, Maryland. Yeah, let me shoot you a link. via email. That would be awesome. Let me open up my Gmail. Compose to Mike. I'm going to send it to M. Cheney 911. Okay. Link. And there you go. All right. As soon as you get it, go ahead and log on, because I'm going to go ahead and proceed to scan that 5x7. I just printed it then, and then I want to go ahead and print a standard image. I am not so sure that, again, it's going to be hard to tell, but if I scan this microscopic little pad, look at, you can even see them, and somehow that software identifies each one of those without any errors and gives me a profile. I'm going to go ahead and then print on that glossy paper and see how that works out. So I am going to put several sheets of that in here. Yeah, here he is. Mr. Cheney. I don't see your face yet. I heard your little beep. Are you just want to do voice, or you just want to, can you come on with camera as well? Oh, here we go. There he is. I recognize you.
It made me click the
see that aura around his head? Yeah.
Yeah. Or the horns.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. I don't want to read. I don't want to read to the audience the last couple of little conversations we had about what was going on in the background, or possibly going on in the background. But again, I mean, this is why I did that video. I just wanted to do a comparison, just to show you that it's not day and night. Had it been day and night, then yeah, forget about it, Mike. I'm going back to my Spectral, even though it takes me half an hour.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I would have told you straight up. But did I do this wrong? I mean, did I do it unscientifically?
No, it looks good to me. And in fact, matte papers are more challenging anyway.
Exactly.
So
exactly. I didn't mention
it was a
that
good test.
All right, let me do this scan. I just put it on there. I put the little chart on there. Let me move this over. Also, did you do this on purpose where now it fills the whole screen? Watch this. Let me see if it will do that. Before I had...
I prevented you from doing that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look right.
Right.
It's not supposed to be maximizable. So
right. Okay. So
now it avoids that.
So I put the chart that I just printed right here on my scanner. I am going to give it a name. It's already on there. Gloss Pecos River print person 2010. I mean 210. And now we can just scan it, right? This is it. I got my scanner, but the name is there. Look at that. By the way, I didn't even check this, guys. I typed in that name before I came on board today, and it automatically transfers the name you give it right here to your scanned chart image, and also the profile as it's going to be saved. Here's an EcoTank 8550. There's the name. What do I have to do now, Mike? Just
Yeah,
Scan.
just click the button.
Just scan. And this is now I'm getting my sheets on my little guide. I'm getting my scanner calibrated, my spectrophotometer calibrated. I haven't even gotten to the first row yet. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it failed the calibration. Let me redo it again. And I had to do that. And finally, it did a correct calibration. And then I had to line up my guide to the first row. And I got, oh, it's already doing the second scan. What the hell? Mike, what have you done? I haven't even scanned the first row yet.
Well, you better get to work. You better get faster hands.
You see what I mean, folks? I got a little bit of drink left here. I'm going to enjoy it. How you been, Mike? How's the weather down in Florida? You see what I mean?
Hot as always.
It's so boring, and it's your fault for making it so boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being stupid.
It does allow you to profile literally everything, because every time I wanted to profile a new paper, I'm like, I've only got 20 sheets left. I'm not going to dig that thing out of my drawer and fight with that for 45 minutes and print 3 different sheets out of my 20 that I have left. It's not worth it.
And the thing is, I don't have this paper in full size, 8.5 by 11 standard.
By the way, if you happen to scan a 5x7 now in 210, it won't complain that it doesn't see the target. I fixed that.
I'm waiting for the thing to start bitching at me. And
did you put a 5x7 in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It would have complained already, because it won't let you do all these scans and then complain.
It would have done the first attempt.
It would have done it, complain on the first one, so you don't have to wait.
There you go.
So that's proof that it works. It was actually a bug. It was supposed to only tell you that you don't have a target in the scanner if it was like 95% white. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I had round in there. I had rounded the figure, and it should have been, you can't do 0.9, 0.95 if you round the number up. So that's why it was doing it. It was a bug. So that's fixed now.
The theory that I explained about the corners being that you're looking at an aerial photo of a farm. The farm is 1 mile wide by, I don't know, 3/4 mile high. And you got 4 markers. You got 4 fence posts with sensors on them. And I'm flying my drone above that, and I'm locating each one of those 4 corners. So then I know where my corn patch is, where my tomato patch is, where my green pepper patch is, where my right.
That analogy works.
Did I figure that out? Because you never explained it to me on purpose.
Yeah.
You let me figure it out. So that's how the locators are allowed to selector allowed to find every single little square. Here we go.
It's doing its thing.
Okay, now this damn thing is going to begin to create the profile. I know it. Look at that. Folks, this is ridiculous. This is a 5x7.
And see, you still got 49 pixels sampled from each patch. It's telling you that down below. So 49 is still enough. Yeah. I prefer the bigger targets, because you will get slightly better quality.
But I'm not saying that I recommend you.
You're not limited. Yeah.
But if you don't have a full sheet of paper, why not just like here? I don't have 8.5 by 11 paper in this particular type.
Yeah,
I have to use it.
That's when you do it.
I cannot tape together, sheets of paper to duplicate 8.5 by 11. I have to live with this. So now it's doing the profile. Wait a minute, did it do it already?
It's about a third done.
Yeah, it's about a third done. There it is. Yeah,
it's thinking.
It's thinking. It's going like, whoa! I just minimized.
Hey, it's an opportunity for me to go through some of those messages that you see.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you want to.
Go ahead. Go ahead and do it. Let me go here.
That might help.
We'll let that finish, and
just pop your screen back up. And I'm talking about the messages in Print Prism down at the bottom. Everybody always talks about those. What am I supposed to be looking for?
Can you see? Can you see the chat?
I see the chat, but I need to see your screen because I wanted to talk about the messages you're getting on your profile that you're creating right now.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to reload that. It's not letting me for some odd reason. Let me put it on my screen. Yeah, it's not showing it.
Well, that's all right.
Let me close this. It got minimized and I cannot pop it back up for some reason. And I want to let it finish.
Yeah.
I see it in tiny form here on my the bottom, and I don't want to shut it down because I'm not sure it's not done yet. Anyway,
it should come back if you just click on it, but
I'm doing that and it's not. It's my computer. It's not you. Crazy.
Right, I'll just let it go.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it's not doing it. So what was the last question we had here? We'll let that finish and then I'm just gonna go ahead and make a quickie print on QImage and see of the standard image. I just want to see if it comes close to matching what I made the other day, whether it's matte paper or luster or whatever. I have been able to get good matches with a multitude of different crazy combinations, where this was with this printer, with this paper, this is with this printer, with that paper, and they all look the same color balance.
Yeah, well, that's the goal.
But that's supposed to be impossible. Because
it's supposed to be, yeah.
But what? Because again, this is the mentality of printer manufacturers. If I'm going to charge you $2,000 for a printer, I don't want you to be able to get the same quality on your $350 printer, XP 15,000. Right?
Yeah.
And I can do that. I can, with a good profile, I can fool you. I can show you two prints, and you go like, "Oh shit, which one did he do with his expense? Oh no." Did I spend $2,000 for nothing? No, you spend it so that you got roll support. You can do, 24-inch wide. Yeah.
I have a $190 office printer, a Canon G3272, a G3000 series that only has the yellow, magenta, cyan, and black. And I intentionally put challenging papers in that, like matte papers and thin papers, glossy, semi-gloss, everything in that. And I profile that. And that's my acid test when I'm testing different versions of Print Prism. And I know if it can profile that, and I'm getting photos out of that stupid $190 printer that almost rival the 8550. And that's a tank printer.
I think this is done. I can see that it is done. I'm just going to close it and I'm going to look. I have a shortcut of my profile folder here. Yep, there it is. Okay. So now I can test it. We'll see what we get. QImage. I did update the QImage, by the way. All right, so I got glossy.
Occasionally you should have a problem so that people don't think you're crazy or a shill.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. No, what happens is always when I'm on the live stream.
Well, no, I mean, you should have you should generate a really bad profile, like 1 out of every 100, just to prove that you're doing something, because people won't believe that you're getting all these good profiles.
Well, the thing is, this is why I did that. I always, it's your word against mine. So I'm always telling people this and then expect you to believe me. So that's why I wanted to do it live and bore everybody to death, waiting for the scanning process to take place, manually. And if you don't, then I made it a point to say that this is, real time. Okay.
No, it was the strawberry test image was the one that I was telling you it was
Right.
Bill Atkinson and Uwe Steinmuller.
Oh, okay.
That came off of his Outback photo site.
Right. Right.
He passed away back in, I don't remember now. It's probably like 2014 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, let me see if I can.
that was a big loss to the photographic community.
Screwing it up again. Okay, so now, all right. So this is a 5x7 premium photo paper glossy, which is what I used to create the scan, the print chart that is 5x7. Here's the profile we just made.
It's trying to print a poster of that, though. I can see that 2x2 on there. Just click on it and click fit to page.
Yeah, fit to page.
It'll clear that.
Yeah. And for those of you who may be wondering about color management, is set to no color adjustment. Why? Why, Mike? Because I'm using a profile, right?
Yeah, you don't want a double profile.
Right. Again, so how long ago did you incorporate that?
That was probably 3 years ago.
The people were not making the mistake I made for like 3 whole years back in the beginning. I actually realized what I was doing wrong. Like I was half asleep in bed, and it was like the sky just opened up with a bright sunlight in my dreams, and I realized I heard a choral background singing, and I knew, oh, that's what they mean by double profiling.
I need some of whatever you've been smoking before bed.
Right. No, I wasn't doing that any longer. That was back in the 60s.
Any longer? Okay.
Any longer? No, no, no. I got told you better stop that, or I'm going to leave you. So, yeah. We're getting a little too personal here.
Yeah. Right. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that.
We'll see what we get. Who knows what this is going to look like?
See, now we know why you think all these prints look so great.
Right. Everything looks fine.
Yeah. It's like my shirt. See my shirt? Everything is fine.
Oh, sure. Keep repeating that quietly. I'm breathing very. Okay. Here's Harold Davies, the guy that just visited me. Wonderful guy. I just sold 17 prints in the last month using PP. Isn't the axiom of a new idea. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident. Yeah. Isn't that what happens with new ideas all the time?
Yeah, that kind of follows that path. Right. It's like the 5 steps of what is it, loss or something.
And you answer back, blame me for trying to break the rule. Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's the computer science rule. Fast, cheap, good. You can only pick 2.
Sure. I like rule breakers. While trying to remember those who spent years incrementally. This Harold is a super brilliant dude. You look at him and you would never think that. No offense, Harold, but you know, you and me are we don't care about ourselves. We care about what's in our heads and what we do with it. But yeah, he's done a lot in his whole life. And he's doing all the printing for his group. So he had some problems with the 1100 having problems, the printer itself having some issues that had to be replaced several times. Ooh. Let me go to turn this light on. This paper is so incredibly glossy, the Speckles River. Let's look at it compared to a totally different unrelated paper. Let's see what we get. Does that pass, Mike? Are you okay with that?
They both look pretty neutral.
Are you okay with that? Let me light it up to my crappy lighting here.
If you look at the one you just did, I bet you'll see that those color gradients are smoother in 210. Even with that 5x7.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah. See, I'm always working on that stuff.
When we were talking about what the heck else are you going to do to this, and I sat here asking, and people were kind of out of blank. They didn't know what to add. But yeah, I am seeing this on this is the Pro, actually the i1 Pro 2, which had a better gradient than the one that I produced with the uh, Prism. This one here, though, it's pretty. It's hard to see, very hard to see, but I don't see any differences as far as the gradual change in density. Wow.
Yeah. What changed in 210 were the bright color gradients, like the yellows and the greens.
Let me throw a really nasty image here and see what happens. One that is going to be. There are other standard images available.
You know which one I like that you have? You have, I think it's an AI image, but it's all this greenery with purple and yellow and red flowers and butterflies or something like that. And you know,
I don't know which one that would be. Let me look at my desktop.
When you print one like those candles, it's like it's all red. And I'm thinking in my mind, push it, Jose, push it. Print as many colors as you can possibly print. Something that's super colorful with every color in it. Print one of those. That's how you can
look at the AI images that I made.
Maybe it was I think it was like a field of flowers or something like that, and they were all different flowers.
No, that's got to be Richard Bender's image.
Yeah, but it was AI, right?
Hang on. Yeah. Hang on.
I think it was one of his, and it may have been in the same folder as the cactus sunset.
Here we go.
But it had all these different flower colors with a lot of green and.
Wait, let me load my screen.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
I like that one because it really pushes the colors.
I don't want to crop his image, so that's why I have that set to uncrop. So I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to print it.
Yeah, it looks like it was designed to be 5x7 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, see an image like that, you got a lot to look at. You can see if the blues line up, the little
this is
ochre and yellow and.
Mike, this is where I saw the deficiencies of the P800 compared to the Pro 1. And also areas where there were a lot of getting close to the actual optical red zone from the slightly orange to red. How does having a proprietary red ink, as with the Pro 1 and the Pro 1000 and the Pro 1100 and all the other big Canon printers, how does the print engine handle that? When does it begin to incorporate the use of the actual red ink and not trying to manufacture red, which is yellow magenta?
It blends. It blends all that stuff.
When does it start trickling in red ink?
Once you start getting over toward more of a true red, it starts blending the red ink in.
Right.
Rather than mixing.
But without that capability, it's got to rely on magenta yellow.
Yeah, a red will expand the red side of your color gamut.
Right.
So it means fewer compromises for reds.
The Pro 100 original ink set had that issue. The strawberries on the standard image were always orange, slightly orange. They were not red.
See, that's one thing too. This is just, I don't know how many people are going to be interested in these technical details, but it's kind of a journey for me too, because I've learned what people expect, what people want. I know all the math and the color science, but it turns out if you just try to minimize color error, sometimes when you go for a red, it'll push it to a little bit yellow and make it a little orange because it can reproduce that, but it can't reproduce the red. But people object to a change in the hue. So you have to try to keep the red and desaturate it a little bit instead of shifting the color. So it's all about perception.
I don't know if you can see, both. Can you see both? Let me get a little closer.
Yeah.
So this is from
I mean,
screen to print. So you can see right there the screen view of that
it,
image and then the print. Um, let
when
me
you
get
look
it.
at it, what do you see when you look at it on your calibrated? Because you're, like you said, it's hard to see. I can tell that's a good print, obviously, but
Look at that.
I can't judge like fine details because of your
Right, right,
camera.
right. No, yes. The camera is crap.
But
Uh,
if you look at that, would you say it
this is
matches?
crazy. Yes, yes. And I'm looking at what is being broadcasted from that screen over there, which is visually that screen is not super correctly calibrated. But I'm looking at what the when I am looking at this here, you and me, and then I switch over to this, it's on this screen.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that I'm looking at this area here of all these oranges, the greens, and I'm trying to let me see if I can. No, I
If you could
cannot.
half and half that, then it
Yeah,
would be
maybe.
better. But
No, that's not going to work. Yeah, still.
I guess if you held it all the way up closer to the, yeah, that's probably about the best you can get.
And I'm looking for like a drastic color change, and I don't see any such thing. It seems to match, at least from my point of view here. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really the
That
image. So,
that's
and that,
like the images eye test. Just a wide variation of colors and make sure you can see every shade, and this color is not shifted any and that color is not shifted any.
and that was from this crappy little 5x7 chart with how big are those squares? Good Lord.
On a 5x7, they're probably like
30 seconds of
two
an inch.
2 millimeters.
Yeah, maybe 2 ml square. It's nuts. It's
But to
crap.
the scanner can
Yeah, the scanner can see them. You said that.
300 DPI.
Did you know what you ought to do? I don't know if it's possible to incorporate an automatic higher scanning resolution when you, for whatever the reasons, print a chart on 5x7.
I really wanted to hide that hidden 600 DPI. You know, I told you how to do that. You hold the control key and then you click that button and it'll scan at 600.
Mhm.
But I really wanted to hide that and not allow people to do that unless they have some specialized need. And the reason is because when you get to 600 DPI, you do start seeing the dots, the individual ink dots, instead of the aggregate color.
Okay. Yeah.
And that can throw off the color. I found it still works pretty well,
Yeah.
but I guess the best way to put it is the trade-off between seeing the dots and getting more of them is just, you're usually better off to still scan at 300. The one case, if I was doing if I really had to do a 4x6, then I would do 600.
It's 4x6. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really the
Wow. Anyway.
most you can do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Then I would force it into 600.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What else do I have here? I have the other paper that I have. Oh, I got some comments here that no one has looked at yet. Photo Nikon says, having said I do not sell my prints, I would have no problem selling prints with, yeah. Well, selling, you want longevity, and that would be, the actual ink printer combination paper. Not so much the profile you use to create that print. I mean, you don't have to divulge that to people. The results say it all. If you are satisfied with the results, they represent what you think your quality is. You go ahead and sell it. I don't have any issue. A better car analogy might be a Tesla versus. By the way, folks, if you haven't seen this yet, when did you do that analysis of that Tesla accident?
Oh, that was years ago, a couple of years ago.
They should look at that. I looked at that while I was waiting for Nathan to come out of school one time, and I thought,
if I can get the data, I might have another one of those to do.
yeah,
Because unfortunately, there was a 87-year-old man who died couple days ago in his Tesla down here in Florida. He ran it into a lake, and they claimed it was on autopilot, quote,
Right.
autopilot. But you know how the news is. Tesla doesn't even have autopilot anymore. It's that version is called auto steer now.
Right.
And I don't think he was even using it. So, the truth comes out. If you give Tesla long enough.
Well, you can't really lie because Tesla is recording.
Exactly. You don't want to lie. I don't think they're lying. I think what happened was
there misinterpret or
there was a passenger
try to,
a passenger survived and claimed that he was using autopilot, but you can tell by the situation that I don't think he was.
Immediately see that.
It was like a 30-mile-an-hour zone, and he went way off the road and down into a lake, and the car had more damage than it should have for 30 miles an hour.
I can use my drone and take off and fly here this way, that way, and when I land, I have a flight path of everything I did. It's recorded. It's recorded. Everything, altitude.
So if you go spy on the neighbor or something, they're going to be able to tell.
There is a recorded.
You can't say, no, I wasn't spying on the neighbor.
It goes to the company that owns the brand. They have a record of what I did.
Yeah.
Well,
everything's on the cloud.
I mean, Tesla is using all of this sensor technology to figure out, drive.
Yeah, they know exactly what happened.
Autopilot or whatever.
I think they already know, but they can't say yet because it's an investigation.
I can do that too. I can use the anti-collision option on my application for the drone, and I can ask it to follow me, and I'm standing there. The drone is 50 feet away from me, in the middle of this little road, this windy road, and I select myself on my phone. The phone is hooked up to the app and the controller, and select myself. Hit go, and I start walking. I could be riding a little electric bike or whatever, or just walking. The drone will follow me at a specific altitude and avoid any. If all of a sudden there's a branch in front of me, it will avoid it. It will drop and go under it and continue after me.
Yeah, and if it crashed and they find out that you were carrying the controller and accidentally hit the stick, then they'll know that it wasn't the auto follow that did that.
If I remember correctly, that kid did something with his knee, touched the wheel, and
the data was all there.
Well, if you do that, if you were to be, for example, driving on autopilot, if you want to call it that, and you accidentally do this to the wheel, whether you're having sex with your girlfriend or not, or something, you think this is like the Mile High Club, we're using Tesla. And I don't care about Tesla and all the politics about Tesla, but does it turn off the autopilot at that point when you
it'll turn it off.
That's it. And then you just go off to the curb and into the ditch.
You're in control there.
Yeah. I can just imagine people
it's an override
doing really stupid things. Just like with drones, that's why there's so many regulations now from the FAA, because people have done really stupid things. I saw a video in Florida. I was on I-4, like halfway between Tampa and Orlando, where this guy had his drone follow him at 60 miles an hour on a highway full of people and cars.
Yeah.
And of course he got caught. And that's why I don't have it with me. I left my wallet upstairs. That's why I got my paperwork registration from FAA and all that crap. I had to pass all these different safety
exams. Did you get Part 107?
Huh?
Did you get
I did not get to the Part 107. That's like practically being a pilot.
Yeah.
You have to, I don't have a need for that. Besides I think it's every 2 years.
I don't either.
You have to renew it, and it costs like $200 to renew every couple of years. You better be making money. Off of that. I see a lot of people on videos now using, a bit of drone footage, and I'm thinking, do you have a Part 107? I don't think you do.
Yeah,
but they're not really enforcing it too much. Anyway, so we did that. Okay, you have a sensor humor, making life easier and faster. Individual printings should use Print Prism and QImage for the best result. Thank you. Well, now you don't even need QImage to print anymore, right? What made you
Not the
decide
target.
to go that route? Yeah, not the target, sure, but it would
Well,
have
we were
been
talking about that stroke or border. That's just one example.
Mhm.
Print Prism won't let you print the target wrong. It won't
Right.
let you print it the wrong size. It won't let you put a border on
Okay,
it. It won't
that's
let you
good.
crop it. It won't let part of it be off the page. So that was one of the big things. And the other thing is you have to think about it. All these other tools include something to let you print their target. And that's my competition. So of course I'm going to bring myself up to that level.
But what other tools can you use to print a target in raw form?
Well, if you showed it in
The
your,
only place I've ever seen none or off is in QImage.
well, you did it in your I1 profiling software, didn't you?
Sure, but
You had to print
that's
those.
proprietary. Yeah, big
Right.
deal. Yeah,
Right. But they have a utility that lets you print their target with color management off. And Color Monkey, they let you print their target with color management off. So
they
that's
better. Is their
right. That's
target.
my competition.
Right,
So
right.
if I'm making Print Prism, I have to think to myself,
But
do I allow people to print the target that they're going to scan? Of course.
Mhm.
So
but
that was the
remember,
ultimate answer.
you can export the target you create in the i1 Pro 2 uh, software to a TIFF,
Yeah. And then what are you going to
and
do
then
with
use
it?
QImage in
Yeah.
off to print
Well,
it.
I didn't want people to have QImage. If they
Yeah,
didn't want it,
yeah. Okay.
they can still use Lightroom, Photoshop, whatever they want to use, and Print Prism gives you a way to print it with color management off now.
How would you go about doing that in Photoshop? Photoshop will interfere.
Well, I mean, you can't do it in Photoshop. You have to download their silly Adobe
Their
Color
app.
Print
Yeah,
utility,
right, right.
and then that won't even let you scale to the size you want. And people were
Correct.
complaining about that. So now I'm seeing this too as the developer, and these are the comments people are making. And they're getting on my forum, and several people say, I'm trying to print this at the right size on this. All I have is 5x7, or all I have is 13 by 19. And this Adobe Camera Raw utility, Adobe Color Print utility won't
Mhm.
let me scale. And somebody found some kind of a hacked up way of getting it to scale or something like that. And I thought, forget that. I'm not going to make it hard on people. I just want to give them a way to do the whole process in Print Prism. You shouldn't need anything else.
I've seen videos of other folks getting ready to profile something, and it'll be on a 13 by 19. And would that then,
It won't fit in your scanner.
if instead of doing 3 sheets, 1600 patches, can I just print? Say if I'm using the proprietary software, can I print?
That
I
I
don't see
don't
that
know.
choice in my
See,
software. I don't see that choice. I can choose small, medium, large. And when
that's another thing about printing from Print Prism. If you do print on a 13 by 19 sheet, which it'll let you do, it'll let you print on a 20 by 30 if you can fit it in your printer.
yeah,
It still won't let you print the
you
target so
you
big
gotta
that you can't scan it.
you gotta have a hell of a scanner. Yes,
You can't print it so big that your scanner can't scan it.
right.
So Print Prism won't let you do that either. So it's just a fail-safe way. It saves me time too, asking people, okay, well, how did you print it? Well, I don't have QImage. I was using the Adobe print utility. And I'm like, okay, well, are you sure you had everything turned off in the driver? I don't know. I can't guarantee that they had that set to none, but I can if they printed from Print Prism. So it saves me hassle too.
Can you discuss? We've been on here. Oh gosh, we're almost 2 hours. What you were sharing with me earlier about errors that people are doing, whether it's unconscious or not, and
Yeah.
they should avoid doing. In other words, what have people reported to you that I'm having a problem? I'm getting an error. I'm getting a terrible profile. I thought you said this was, problem solver for me, and you just
Yeah.
told me the one you just
I've
recently told me.
I've had
But you
3
had
cases
several
of
others
that.
as well.
Yeah, I've had 3 cases of that, and every one of them was resolved by One of them was the simple thing, which anybody could do, is just not realizing you had printed a stroke around the border, and then Print Prism didn't get the corners correctly, and they got a bad profile. All right, so that's one of them. Then they start getting a little bit more obscure from there. Somebody said that they got a profile that didn't look right to them. And I said, well, the only way to tell is send me the scan. And I have them put it on Google Drive. They send me the scan. I look at the scan. And when you're looking at the color patches, like in Print Prism, you can hit the 3x zoom and look at the color patches closely. I could see that a large portion of the color patches had ink that was smeared from one color patch to the next. And I said, well, you can't expect to get a good profile out of that. I said, either that printer is not compatible with that paper, you printed on the wrong side or something. I said, if I printed a target that looked like that, I'd throw it away. I said, you can't use a target that has ink stains. Like, it literally looked like somebody had dipped it in a pond and then pulled it out, and all the ink just, you know how the ink smears when it gets wet. That's what it looked like. So that was one case. And another case, the guy was complaining about, well, this doesn't match, and I know these colors aren't out of gamut, and it was sand on a beach or something. And I looked at it, and the sand in the Print Prism profile was like an orange color, and the sand in the Color Monkey profile that he did to compare it with looked right. And I said, well, I can tell by looking at what you're doing, by looking at the results and nothing else. I can tell that you either didn't print the target properly, or there's a mismatch in how you're using the profile. In other words, let's say you used glossy media type when you printed the target, and now when you're using the profile, you use matte. So, that's on you if you make a mistake like that. I said, I don't know what it is that you're doing. I said, but how you're printing the target doesn't match how you're using the profile. And it was a couple of days he came back. He finally came back, I think it was this morning, and finally admitted that he's using a virtual machine under Linux, printing the target with that, and then going back to Linux to print his real images. And he found out that of course the drivers don't work the same way when you're going through all those band-aids like that. I mean, you can't guarantee anything, whether it's Parallels on the Mac or it's Wine under Linux or you're using a virtual machine. You can't guarantee those drivers are going to work the way they should. It's just, everything is up in the air at that point. You can't guarantee anything. So he finally figured out that if he printed the target from Linux and scanned that and used that for Print Prism, and he also printed using the profile in Linux, in other words, you're printing the target and you're using the profile in the same environment, then it worked fine. Sure. So that was resolved. Uh-huh. So there's all these oddball cases that I get, but I mean, that's what you have to expect with something as relatively complex as color management.
I think the paper you're talking about smearing could have been one of the earlier.
It was a Kodak paper.
Yeah,
it was a Kodak satin paper or something like that in
Kodak HP.
In a low-end Canon, I think, one of the IP 8700s. I think it was.
Is the swellable
from memory
coating?
I think he solved that too by he had to raise the head. The head was too close to the paper or something.
Or let it dry for 3 days. Literally. Yeah. It's originally was, from what I heard, and this is from Mike Lee, that swellable type gelatin coating was meant to encapsulate dye ink of that era. I'm talking 2001, 2002, that was very susceptible to ozone oxidation and fading. So it would encapsulate it. It would literally melt as the surface would sort of partially melt with the ink application. It would just go into that layer of gelatin, and then it would just dry. A gelatin type coating, not the type you eat. And then it would eventually dry fully after 3 days, and it would make your prints last longer. They wouldn't fade within a few days like they were doing back then. I couldn't print anything, and also environmental conditions. I couldn't print anything at work and leave it at work, because within a week it would be, the yellow would fade. The yellow ink layer would fade, and you end up with magenta cyan prints. Yet I could take it to my house, the same house I live in now, and nothing would happen.
Yeah.
Explain that to me, So, and I live,
Yes.
we worked in a beautiful government type environment, office type building from the 70s. So it wasn't like it was horrible. Um, so I don't know. I don't know whether it was the lights that we have fluorescent lighting, office type lighting. Um, and what was the difference from that environment compared to my home? Here
Yeah.
they
You
would
probably know better than I do on
Yeah,
that.
here they would last, and over there they would fade, and it was always the yellow layer, and the yellow, yeah, layer of ink. In other words, I remember when people started complaining and complaining. This is back in the day where there was a 1270 printer. It was a 13-inch, and
I had one of those.
yeah, with the two cartridges. One was a 5-color, and then one,
Yeah.
yeah, those inks. And those inks with paper from Epson, was really just not really working very well. The paper did not demanded you to leave it for 3 days on a table untouched to dry, but it still would fade. And they didn't want to accept the fact that it may have been the inks. They were blaming the paper. That was not it was manufactured for Epson, but not for, you know what I mean. It's the mill's fault, in other words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, these are things that you and I are aware of, but I think the lay person is not aware of all these factors that affect printing and all of these compromises that are involved with color management. People think that, well, I make a color profile and that's going to make all my prints perfect. The truth is much further away than that. It's not. There's so many compromises in just creating and using a profile. I'll give you an example. I had a guy on my forum who had this 21-step wedge. Actually, he had downloaded an image with some gray patches on it, and the middle one said L equals 50. Well, that's supposed to be middle gray patch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he made a profile and he printed out, and he's measuring it with his spot metering spectrophotometer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, with this print present profile, this patch is not L equals 50. And I had to write back and I said, it's not supposed to be L equals 50. I said, you realize you're printing with relative colorimetric intent with black point compensation on. That means that you're going to get relative grayscale between the black that your printer can print and white. So by the time you rescale that between it's probably around L equals 10 or L equals 12. That's going to be the black that your printer can print. So you're going from L equals 12 up to L equals, let's say 94. That's the white. So you've got a scale there. That L equals 50 is not supposed to print at exactly L equals 50 on the paper because you're rescaling that color between black of your ink and white of the paper. So of course it's not going to be L equals 50. Everything's relative. And people don't understand these things. And somebody will say, well, the 3D gamut that I get out of Print Prism is slightly smaller than the 3D gamut that I see in my i1 profiler or something like that.
Yeah, I did a comparison.
And I have to point out, I say, your i1 profiler does not have the facility to measure that gamut. They're guessing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're extrapolating that gamut. If you imagine, even if you had 1,000 patches, well, how many did you do? 1,000 in your example?
1,600.
1,600. Even with 1,600, imagine filling up that gamut evenly with only 1,600 dots. Now imagine how many you're going to have only to define that outer surface of that gamut hole. You might have 20, 30 that are right on that gamut hole.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're printing it, they don't know where that gamut hole is. So you're not going to have any that really are sitting on the gamut hole. You don't have enough points to measure that. So they're extrapolating from the data that they have, and their profile is more predicted than it is measured. And the print prism has enough patches to actually measure the complex shape of that gamut hull, and it's actually smaller. But what the tools that have fewer patches do is, instead of trying to predict the exact edge of that gamut, they have to project a little bit beyond it so they don't miss anything. Because they only have like they've got a gamut here. How do I try to hold my hand? They have a pixel here, and a pixel here. Well, you don't want to try to hit exactly those spots because it's going to be a rough surface to begin with, like polygons. And there might be ones beyond that. You just don't have enough patches to measure it. So what they do is they expand it out a little bit and they blur it. And that's why you get a bigger gamut with the higher end tools. It's not because the printer is producing a bigger gamut. It's because they don't have the facility to actually measure the complexity of that gamut and how bumpy it really is.
Yeah, you see that when you're comparing two and you overlap them, and you see one of them will be a solid surface bubble, and the other one will be like a, what do you call that? The mesh. And you see parts of one extending beyond the other one, maybe on the green side, on the blue side, or I've never been able to interpret what the hell does that really mean when I print my print and I'm looking at it.
My favorite example, and this usually lets it set in with people. My favorite example is, let's say you take a 1990s flip phone and you take a picture of your 1963 Corvette that you had just taken the time with your son maybe and restored it good enough. It's a 50-footer. So you take a picture with this flip phone and, it's at a low 640 by 480 resolution. And then you show it to somebody on the flip phone and they say, oh man, that car looks really nice. And then you get out your, what do you have? A Nikon D60 or something like that?
Yeah, 3300.
You take out your good DSLR camera and you take a picture of that car. And then you show somebody on your monitor and they say, yeah, that's nice, but the car's kind of rough. It's got scratches here. It's got a ding over there. It's got a little rust spot over here. I said, I can tell it's a little bit. Your car doesn't look so great on that camera. That camera makes your car look worse. And then you're like, no, it's showing the way it actually is.
Yeah.
So that's the example that I like to use between have enough points to actually measure what that gamut is really doing. And remember, you're seeing this gamut hull that, let's say, looks like this. The more important pieces of that hull are on the inside. The outside layer of that gamut hull is only the border between in gamut and out of gamut.
Mm-hmm.
The more important pieces is everything that's inside this gamut in the middle. If you can do that accurately, and you can also get the shape of the hull accurate, even if it's a little bit bumpy like this, it's going to be a much more accurate profile.
Yeah, that's assuming the image you edited, you spend hours editing, lives inside.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I think a lot of people don't understand that perceptual intent. They try to solve the bright red fire engine or the bright red rose problem, losing detail. They try to solve that by using perceptual intent. Well, perceptual intent can't see your image. It doesn't know how much of your image is in or out of gamut. So what they do is they use a general stretch to take this gamut here and basically make it look like it's this big so that it can hold that saturated rose or whatever. And that's why I put in that new low, medium, and high. So, do you want your gamut stretched like this? Do you want it stretched like this? Or do you want it stretched like this?
So now,
how big of a photo do you have? How much color do you have in your photo?
So I have a question about that particular option you introduced. Let me open up Print Prism a second here. So say I'm only shooting landscapes, seascapes, no people. I'm not trying to reproduce colors, absolutely what the advertiser wants them to be like. I just want to create like that picture that I just printed. Where did it go? Right here. I'm not concerned whether these colors match the original scene, which was fake anyway. You see what I'm saying? So I go out and I shoot landscapes and I edit them. And absolutely, I am going to enhance them. They're not going to look the same way the original scene that I shot at 5:30
Yeah.
on Thursday evening. No. So bringing in colors that are out of gamut, in gamut, and possibly shifting other colors to make room for that is really not that critical. So why don't I just print using perceptual if all I'm going to print is landscapes, right? And how
Well,
do I apply that when I create a profile?
my
Using
rule
Prism.
is my rule is always to print in relative, and only with the relative
Only
intent.
if
If I
we, yeah,
see
yeah,
like a spot on that red flower that's my subject is, blocked off, it's all one shade of red, then I'll say, okay, maybe I'll try printing it in perceptual intent. But even then, I still prefer to print in relative and just desaturate it myself manually
mhm.
until the gamut warning gets down just out. I saw you do it in one of your videos
Yeah,
recently. Yeah, I think it was a
yeah, but
flag,
people don't want to desaturate. They want to. I want those colors, man.
but that's what perceptual is doing.
Right,
It's
perceptual.
exactly what perceptual is doing.
Okay. So in some
And if you
cases, I
stay in
know.
relative, you know that the colors that you see are the ones you're going to get. You're not going to get some
Right.
arbitrary stretch.
I remember, and if Richard Bender was here, he would agree. Uh, there was a yellow color from Kodak that was actually patented.
Yeah.
Disney, when they did their animated movies, their full length movies, their colors were patented. They had jars this big of that particular pink for Cinderella's dress. And you only use that particular mix, that mixture, that pink value to paint Cinderella's ribbon or whatever. The colors had to be spot on.
Yeah.
So would I then use I would then use relative colorimetric if
For
my
that,
colors on my screen image are inside gamut, are
let's
in
say you're
gamut.
printing the Kodak logo.
Yes, the
You
Kodak
should
logo.
use absolute. That's the one case where you need to use
Absolute.
absolute
Yes.
colorimetric.
Okay,
And the
that's
reason
another one.
is because I'll give you another example. Somebody had a paper that I could tell had a lot of optical brighteners in it. It was basically a blue paper. And
Yeah.
they measured the grayscale on that test image that we always use. And he said, well, these grays aren't gray. And I said, they're not supposed to be gray. They are a shade of your paper color.
Right.
Your grays have to carry the color of your paper all the way through the whole range. Otherwise, there's going to be a conflict. You might get away with it if your image has no borders, but let's say you print an image and around the side or near the edge is a woman in a white wedding dress. Well, that dress is not going to look right against the white of the paper if you leave any border.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to look right anyway because that white is going to be blue because the paper is technically a blue color.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you try to make your neutral gradients, a middle gray, if you try to make that truly gray, that's going to conflict with the white of the dress. You can't do that. So that's why I'm saying everything's relative. But if you want to print that Kodak, you better make sure you use absolute, because if you don't, it's going to try to make it relative to your paper color.
I don't have a blank one, but the paper that Pecos River Gloss, this must have a ton of OBAs because it literally fluoresced even under this lighting.
Yeah.
This one, comparatively speaking, when I hold it, like right here, this is warm, this is cold. This is cold. Now, my next question was, if I print my chart on a paper with a different color, like for example, Red River has an art paper. It comes in two forms. It's the same surface, but one of them is white, Aurora white, and Aurora natural. The natural just doesn't have OBAs.
Yeah.
The white one does, and you can see the difference. There's some Kodak papers that had the word white into their title, and those, I assume, how do you make a paper made out of wood fibers, basically cellulose, look white? Well, you add some sort of agent to it. to make it look brighter than, or bright. Another one. That's another term. Um, when you print that chart on a paper like that with a base tone already, a natural base tone to it, how does the spectrophotometer, forget about print prism, how does the spectrophotometer compensate for that? Will I get identical prints from two different type color papers?
It does the same thing that Print Prism does. All of our color tools are universal there. They measure the color of the paper as well.
Right.
And they try to tailor to the color of the paper.
But the thing that is then makes me go like, then why the hell should I choose this beautiful warm paper for my beautiful landscape with warm colors, only to make it look exactly like the one I printed on the cold paper? Just because the programs are so good, they're compensating for the warmth of the paper and try to neutralize that warmth. I don't want them to neutralize.
That's a part of the perceptual part.
That's why there's so many different kinds of paper.
Yeah,
they're not identical.
If you take your paper with lots of OBAs in it and you print that test image, let's say you print that test image in absolute colorimetric intent, it's going to try to tint all your whites in the test image to take away the OBAs. So your whites in that test image, the 255 at the end of the row in the test image, it'll be a reddish color because it's trying to take out the OBAs and trying to tint your paper. That's why you don't typically use that. But if you were going to print something like a Kodak logo that doesn't have any white surround or something like that, and you want to make sure that that's the right absolute color, then you got to use absolute colorimetric. Or it will, you may not be able to tell by your eye, but it will try to tint that color logo, even though it's in color. It'll try to tint that a little bit warmer to remove the color of the paper. So that's why you got to use absolute.
I want you to see, I'm going to show you one picture here. Let me open it up in just a regular photo view here. I recently, my friend, ex-Marine, totally blind right now, lost his wife. His wife became ill after, she was not doing so well, but all of a sudden she just went downhill. These two people have, you name it, they have done it. You name it, they have belonged to. You name it, they have served on the board for this and that. Yeah. Crazy. She was a big shot with her sorority. And the sorority uses the color blue and gold. And it has to be, no. It has to be a certain blue and it has to be a certain gold.
Yeah.
That casket must have cost him 20 grand. I swear to God. Everything had to be done. And this is the photo. Check this out. So she was wearing a totally different outfit. But this is a photo they wanted for the program for the funeral. And I had to convert. I was given the numbers for both colors by this sorority member who happened to know a lot about Photoshop and stuff. So, and I did not know that until she gave me that information. So here it is. So
yeah, that's bright.
This was white.
That's saturated.
I used a special blending mode in a brush, and then I applied the numbers to my color picker and chose that. And I did the same thing. I only have the one for the gold color, but it had to match that. And I had to go over. The blending mode allowed me to keep my densities correctly, and all of that without just opaque painting, in other words. So, and this was approved. It would have been it got disapproved once already. I redid it and it was approved. And that allowed me to then continue on, and I printed. So it had to be that.
That would be challenging to print, I would think.
Yes. And it printed right. I used one of your profiles, earlier version of Print Prism, and did it on, I think it was some semi-gloss Canon paper, and it came out beautiful. I showed it to them, and she went, "This is beautiful. I will definitely use this." And I said, "Okay, thank you."
Yeah.
How about you slip me a couple bucks?
Yeah.
But no, good friends. And so, but yeah, that goes to show you how important colors can be. Now, I just use the normal, you know, let Q image control color, and I use the profile that I created for that paper, and I was able to reproduce the color
And see,
correctly.
something like that, I wouldn't be afraid to print it an absolute color metric. You could always test it and see, because it doesn't have any white border and it doesn't have large areas of white for you to compare.
Right.
So it should
Well,
be
I had
okay.
to send this image to them so that they can see what I did. That I, of course, utilized the RGB values that they gave me. Um, all of this was provided by them.
See, if they gave me RGB values, my first question would be, what color space?
Right. What color space? So you know,
sRGB, Adobe.
I don't think she was that good. I use Adobe RGB in my Photoshop. I don't use anything higher than that.
Yeah.
It's enough. But yeah, so that was a case where I had to, this would be like, for instance, what color is Cinderella's blue dress? It has to be a special color.
Right.
They have that formulation in their archives, and whenever they have to create more ink or more paint to paint the cells for each frame, they use that particular paint, that particular color. So
Yeah.
that would be a case where you'd have to don't use perceptual.
Like, you remember the blue and gold dress that went viral on social media years ago? People were debating, is this a blue dress or is this a gold dress? And
No.
nobody could agree on it.
I don't remember that.
I should send you that. That's a case of perspective and how your eyes adjust.
Yeah.
It was a white balance issue is all it was.
Okay, so here we are. Here's that new edition right here. Right smack right there. So let's just say I want to, like I said, I only do landscapes, and I tend to over enhance them during editing. I don't need to use, right? I don't need to use relative. What do I do when I create the profile? Do I just set this to say high or medium, or just leave it at low?
Yeah, and it only affects the perceptual intent. So if you're printing a relative color metric,
but I'm not printing the chart using perceptual. I'm letting the printing application do that automatically for me, right? I'm still printing the chart regular.
Yeah.
Control.
It has nothing to do with the chart.
Nothing to do with the chart. Okay.
It's just the profile.
So you're not printing the chart in perceptual. No.
No.
Of course not. You're printing it raw.
It's the same as the gray cast control there and the profile shadow detail. If you want to use boost, it only affects the profile, and you can, it's just like image filters. It's not destructive. You can change it.
If I'm creating some crazy AI landscapes and, different beach scenes and jungle scenes and all kinds of stuff like I do, and I make a profile for those types of images, can I just test, make me one in low, one in medium, one in high, and then print them, but using perceptual?
Yeah. Yeah. Then you can see.
Use each profile.
I tell you where it came from. Somebody on my forum had an image that was so deeply the whole image was deep saturated blue background and a woman wearing a max saturation blue dress, and they were complaining that it lost some detail in the deep blues.
No kidding.
So I thought, well, okay, I'll give people a choice. If you tend to print a lot of really saturated portraits or images for any reason like that, you might appreciate that high, because it will take all of those really super oversaturated colors and bring them back down so they have detail again. That's what the high is for.
Do skin tones get shifted? I mean, physically?
No, very, very little.
Okay.
You would think that
I mean, forcing of the
perceptual
to come in.
No, see, because we profile engineers have tricks in our little toolbox. So we don't take the whole gamut. like I was explaining before, we don't take the whole gamut
Okay, only
and stretch everything. We wait until the colors get close to the edge and we kind of just bulge it a little bit. So the colors in the middle, like skin tones, have very little effect because they're not very saturated. So the stretch only starts to occur as you approach that outer limit of the hull.
okay.
And that's the way we trick it so that you don't foul things like neutrals or earth tones.
The way that you are explaining this is totally different from what I have been figuring.
Yeah,
I
it's
always figure that space as being non-movable, and then you would squeeze. Hey, get off of that seat and move closer to the orchestra. Oh, but I'm supposed to be on the seat because I'm color so and
Yeah.
so.
So think of it like the people who are in the
You're
box.
actually expanding. You're making the theater larger,
Well,
but only bringing in people on the outer.
technically you're not, but in your analogy, you would make the whole theater larger.
Right.
What's really happening is you're kind of leaving the theater the same size, and you're saying, okay, the people down there with floor seats, they paid extra to get closer to the band. We're going to leave them alone. We're not going to mess with them.
Yeah, right.
But the back 5 rows, we're going to make them squish together a little bit. And we're going to make some people sit in other people's laps.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's really what we're doing. We're
All
not
right.
ruining the whole gamut by stretching everything.
Okay.
Which I used to think that too. But you're really only affecting the stretch when you start getting near the outer edges where you need it.
So the density of butts on chairs becomes denser on the outer rows.
Right. And down by the stage, they're not affected as much. They don't really know anything happened. But if they walk back,
I love the way that I try to explain things.
Yeah. If you walk back in the nosebleed seats, then you see people shoved in between seats, somebody sitting in somebody else's lap. There's a whole much denser, amount of people in those back several rows, and it gets less and less dense as you get closer and closer to the stage.
Yeah, I want to try that because I do have like that one particular image I printed. That's from Richard, and it's really intense on the monitor. And I looked at it to see, there's out-of-gamut colors on it, but it's not really. It's not
medium and high.
It's not
medium
like
and high really helps.
Yeah, and see how I would just do like the light L and then do high and compare the two.
Yeah.
So right now the it's defaulted to L, right?
Yeah.
L is the default. I cannot just turn that off. It's just that's a default.
Well, L is basically
right. So if I do one, so this would be like the profile I just made.
That would be like for the 200 and all the prior versions.
Right. So the one I just made for this. All
you'd have to do is open that scan file, change it to medium or high, and just regenerate it.
Right. I just reload that and then give
it a name. Open that scan file that you just did, and then change it to medium or high, and then just change the name to medium or high, and then create profile again.
And then reprint that.
And you can try it. Yeah.
And see what a difference it makes. All right. Yeah. Well, you know what? I was hoping that I could grab you today, but I didn't know if that was.
Yeah, it's always good to do it like impromptu because then I don't have time to prepare anything.
Let me see the last.
Shoot from the cuff.
So what else? Oh, let me. I got one more thing. Hang on. Don't go anywhere, as I say. This is the biggest mistake I used to make when I started printing. So I open up the driver, and I would go to, choose my paper. So maybe, I don't know, premium paper, photo glossy, paper glossy, colors, and I want high quality, and I would click OK and print.
Yeah.
And not realize that I had this set to automatic.
Right.
What was it doing in the background? It was using like sRGB. Epson sRGB, and
or the driver's using its own profile on top of yours.
Yeah, the apple looked red and the trees looked green. People had orange faces. That's close enough.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what most people
I
live
can
with.
tell what's in the photo. That's good enough.
Yeah, I could exactly, exactly. It was a 4-color printer, and who
That
cares?
looks like Jose. That's fine. I don't
Right,
care that he's orange.
right, exactly. Look like Trump. Um, anyway, so then I discovered this, and I went there, and I go, oh, so color controls. Look at all of this stuff. Epson Vivid. What the hell is that? Why would I ever choose? No, really, seriously. People will choose this. Epson
Uh,
Vivid, Epson Standard, and then Adobe RGB. Well, that sounds more official.
yeah, sure. Why not pick that?
What does that? I should make some test prints using every one of these little settings just to see what I get if I'm bored one day. I'll make multiple 5x7s using every single paper.
Theoretically, if in QImage, if you set your printer profile to Adobe RGB and you set your driver like that, it'll work.
Yeah.
Because you're converting it to Adobe RGB. The driver is expecting Adobe RGB, so you're good.
And then look at this.
Now,
I can make.
I don't know how accurate it'd be, but that's what it's designed for.
All right. My monitor is set to like, I don't know, 160. So all my prints are coming out dark because
Yeah.
I'm darkening them during editing.
Right.
I can just increase my brightness right here. Oh, more contrast. I want more contrast. Yes, more saturation. Oh, come on. Give me a break.
Yeah. I mean, if people print like that, it's.
Well, that's
if you don't
if
you don't want to get into color management, then
that's how we all did it. That was the beginning.
Some people still do that.
Yeah.
I won't say it's wrong. It's just not optimal.
Remember
it's like how deep do you want to go in the rabbit hole? That's the question.
Remember these cartridges?
Yeah.
Lexmark. Tricolor. You can pop off the top. They have sponges inside.
Yeah.
Fill them up with a syringe. That's the print head.
That's how you get rainbow fingers.
Yeah, that's how you get rainbow. And just pop it in the printer and tell the printer you just replace the cartridge.
Yeah.
But this is not a used cartridge printer. I just refilled, I replaced with a new one.
I still remember how mad you got when the printer manufacturers started stopping us from refilling our own cartridges and trying to detect it. I still laugh when I think about it. One of your videos, you held up one of the cartridges and you said, "This is my cartridge. I should be able to pee in this if I want to and still use it without any complaints. This is I paid for this." And I'm like, yes.
Calm down, Joe.
Everybody's agreeing with you. You're like the Lewis Rossman of the printing era.
I remember in the days of the R3 something series of Epson printers, they began to introduce. Canon still had a printer out there. Remember the days of camera stores, or you can go to the mall and they had a camera store. And I found a Canon printer, and I thought, I got to buy this Canon printer. It was $115. And after playing with it, the results were very grainy. I could see giant dots of ink, resolutions like 200 something, and you can see it. I said, nah, I don't want this. And then I look at the cartridges, no chips. And then I realized, wait a minute. I see yellow ink here. Why can't I just drill a hole through the top?
Right.
That was before refilling was even thought of.
Yeah.
Why can't I just put?
I remember.
I can put tape on it.
What printer was it? Was it the?
I don't know. It was
the R3000. I'm talking about the first printer that started the thing where they could detect the serial number of the cartridge and tell that you've used it before. Okay. Which one was that? Was that like one of the R3000s or something? It was years ago. But when that first happened, I thought to myself, okay, I'm just going to download their firmware update for this printer, reverse engineer it, and take that crap out. Yeah. But then I thought, I spend 100, 200 hours doing that. What am I going to do with it? I can't do anything with it or I get sued.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really going to do that just for myself. So I never even looked into it, but I know it can be done. You could take that software and reverse engineer that crap out of there so that it doesn't even check anymore. But it's like, what's the reward? I can't even give it to anybody. for
Well,
free.
now is it because of the fear of a lawsuit that
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't even give that away because if I gave it away and people modified their printers, then
right,
Epson's going to sue me.
Epson has
And
literally locked?
so I thought, yeah, I'm not gonna risk that.
Is there a huge difference between the European laws and our
That
law
I don't know.
that
I,
Epson in Europe cannot lock your printer?
yeah, well, it's probably in
I
thinking about it, it's probably more complicated than just hacking the code out too. I bet in their printer firmware somewhere they have a verification and encryption that can tell if that firmware was modified. So then you've got to hack that out too. So it's a complicated thing, and it would be worth it if I could even give it away and say, okay, here's your solution. But I can't
no, you
because
don't want to do that.
I'm not going to risk getting sued.
Yeah, right. No, I just noticed people come on and they have a P800 from England, and they're using
The rules are different.
Some of them are using third party,
Yeah, the rules are different.
and
And tell me this: why does Epson give their papers, the exact same paper, different names in different countries? Like it'll be photo paper plus semi-gloss here, and it'll be photographic semi-gloss in some other country. For the 8550, I'm talking about for the 8550.
Mhm.
You know, where we have photo paper plus semi-gloss in our 8550, it doesn't say that, let's say, I don't know, Germany, or I can't remember where the country was, but it was somewhere in Europe, and it was a completely different name. It was like photographic. I don't even think it said semi-gloss. It had another name, but it was the exact same paper.
Mhm.
And the guy had to tell me, well, they're just named differently over here. I don't know why Epson does that. I don't know why they name their printers differently too. The 8550 is an L8180,
Right. Well,
in Europe.
the L nomenclature, naming convention, whatever, didn't that start for overseas use only? Printers that were the tank printers from Epson originated as the L something or other, and they had bottles that had a barcode on them, and when you insert the bottle, it read the barcode and allow you to.
So I guess they have to name them differently because of the region and some of the features.
And it was, and of course, then I decided, no, I'm not going to get into that. Once I started to trickle into this country, I decided, no, I'm not going to do that and then the inks were declared to be inferior compared to like OEM inks, dye inks for say, I don't know, a 1400 back then, a 1430 came out later. Those inks were supposed to be much better than the ones on the L series of printers. And then I saw, Shaquille O'Neal on TV, and I said, oh, Eco Tank, what is that? And then I come to realize, oh, the same thing. But wait a minute, now you just don't have to deal with, I can put food coloring in there.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, and it's not going to prevent me from not, being able to use some other product, which is stupid because the inks are so cheap anyway. And I saw a report from, I think it was the other accelerator fading print test company here in the US, or say in Europe. They claimed that the OEM inks for that, like 30 years for most papers. They only did a few papers, but it turned out to be like 30 years. And if you were to use like a really good fine art paper and then put it under UV glass, it exceeded the limit of years that they even used. It went beyond any number that they would normally use. So basically indefinitely. See what I mean?
Do you still skip all the firmware updates for your 8550?
No, I've been updating.
I thought you didn't take those because you're always worried that they disable something.
No. What am I disabling? I'm using OEM inks.
Yeah, for that printer, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
It was an old printer, I think you said. Yeah. Don't take the updates. I take them as soon as they're out because if anybody has a problem, I want it to be me. Like if it causes a problem with QImage or something.
With the Pro 1000, the minute that it came out and it began to be shipped in the US, China started selling auto reset chips
I
for
remember that. Yeah.
and of course they didn't work. Some of them were just immediately show red X all across. I bought a set of these from like AliExpress, and
I remember.
none of them ever worked. And
then you just did the disable thing.
well, nobody knew how to disable either. They were
Yeah.
terrified when you reach to that point where it says, you know, do you want to continue? Are you sure?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to kill your printer? No, I didn't want to. And
Yeah.
Mike
And everybody's
Lee,
imagining the Blue Origin explosion.
like, Mike Lee tried to develop a sys continuous ink system for the Pro 1000. It did not work somehow, and neither did that other company that came up with the little windows for your cartridges. What was it called? View something.
Yeah.
They actually sold you a little. You have to drill like a 5/8 inch diameter hole on your cartridge, and then put this window in there, and then just add a hole with a plug, and you can literally see inside your like the port on a submarine, you know.
Yeah.
And that they were going to come up with a sys that would work, and I never heard from them. It's been a year now.
I never had good luck with sys.
They were gonna provide me with a set for me to, you know, test.
I did that on my
It failed.
what was it? The Pro. Which was the Canon Pro? Was it the Pro 9000? The one that was before the Pro 100? Wasn't there a 9000 or something?
Yeah, dye ink base. Yeah, the 9000.
Yeah. I have one of those in my garage that had the CIS, and it was a nightmare.
9000, then the Mark II.
You had to have the cartridges sitting at an exact height from the printer, and you could never quite get it right. It would get air bubbles in it, and
and also
this is a nightmare.
The refillables from China were so bad as far as like the fit, so they would not fit.
I don't remember.
They didn't click very, well, I should say. And so then the detectors, the little pins that detect the chip, were not aligning perfectly either, and so you were getting lots of different errors. You were getting flashing lights. The chips have a little light in them, a tiny little LED. That's what creates that light, either stay steady or flash slowly. That means you're getting empty, and then eventually they just flash solid. And those would simply not contact very well. So you get all kinds of different, shall we say, condition of your cartridge. You never knew whether it needed to be refilled or needed to be, it's terrible.
My problem with the CIS is I just couldn't get the level of the cartridges right. If you raised it up too high, all the ink would leak out. If you raised it too low, if you put it down too low, you get air bubbles in it. So I
managed to do it with really consistently good results on an 1100 and also on my 1400, and I did it for years.
I'm trying to remember, wasn't there a company that you used to get those things from before Precision Colors came out? I can't remember the name of the company that I got that Pro 9000 CIS from, but I don't think it was print.
If it was here in the US,
Precision Colors.
Yeah, there was a company that was actually the inks. I was surprised how good they were, and the guy disappeared from the face.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the company. It was a good company though.
But then there was oh my God, up in New England somewhere. No, I can't remember the name. The guy was an ex-Navy guy.
That's what I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
the name of that company.
And he had a big building. He had inks for you name it. He had it. I never saw such a huge inventory of products. And he had a forum that he would, lots of how-to videos and
I don't remember that name now.
Inkcart? No.
Yeah, it was Inkcart something.
.us.
Yeah.
Something.us. And that guy.
That was it.
Went totally out of business. Disappeared again out of the.
Somebody got him.
Yeah.
But if I disappear.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. It was
you'll know who got me.
And he's in the website, he showed shots of his building and, tech support and this and that, and big loading
Maybe
dock,
somebody just paid him to quit.
a big loading dock for trucks to come in, and yeah, quite a setup. But he just boof. And
Inkjet carts. Wasn't that it? Inkjet carts.
inkjetcarts.us.
Yeah,
.us.
that
But
was it.
it wasn't that great. I mean,
No,
you know what
the
he used
inks
to
were
do?
fine, but
Yeah, he would explain. You take one of these, and then you stick a needle in there and poke it into the sponge. And I'm going like, at that point, I was still learning. When I'm going like, do you really want to do that? Like stick a needle into the sponge to make it
Yeah.
vent better? No. So, but the the pigment ink side of things through him, very low quality.
Didn't you have to pop the little plastic BB out of the top of the
Yeah, well,
cart
you still do that.
and then try to use that as a hole?
Yeah, you still do that. You still have to do that. You take the
I thought you just drilled a hole.
no. There's
It's been so long, I don't remember.
there's a seat in there that is, the base is actually half a sphere. It's round. It's a sphere.
I
The
thought
ball-
I
the
couldn't
ball
remember.
sits-
I thought we drilled a
the
separate
ball-
hole.
Yeah, the ball sits on that sphere, and the
Right.
little hole underneath that is like a 32nds of an inch diameter. You cannot put a plug in there because
Right.
you still have that
Pull that
weight.
out.
You have
Okay.
to drill it out. The 5/32nds of an inch drill is smaller than the inner diameter of that factory, seat. So you're not really enlarging the hole, you're just removing the base. And 5/32nds gives you a nice little ridge that the plug
Yeah.
can just compress and seal really well. That's it. That's all you have to do.
I'm at the point I refuse to use a printer that uses cartridges anymore after having that 8550.
Oh, sure.
I'm like, I just do it out of protest. Like
I'm
every
thinking-
printer should be tanks.
Dude, I'm thinking, oh, Epson, did you F up
Yeah.
when you made
Yeah.
that? No, really. Because when it first came out, and
Well, they need to go all in. Like we've all been wanting
Shaq just talking
to
about
the 17-inch wide.
It's for office printing. It's not for,
Yeah.
And so us stubborn nuts, we started using it for photos to find out, oh my goodness. And then even Mr. Cooper, he
Yeah.
became quite
He-
enamored with it.
Came around somewhat.
I've been following that idiot for that guy for about another, oh my gosh, since he was first online.
Yeah.
When YouTube was new. Okay. And yeah, he's been around, but Canon and Epson, they bring him stuff.
I think they should just go all in and add maybe a red and a blue ink and do a 17-inch wide version, and then nobody would need anything else.
I just woke up from that dream. What did you just say? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And maybe, I don't know, maybe the feed mechanism, a little bit improvement on it, maybe.
Yeah.
You have a duplexer in the back that I, for one, have never used. So, I don't use it for office
Right.
use.
Me either.
So do away with that. Call it a photo printer, charge more,
Right.
fine. And then have a 20, max it out, no bigger than 24-inch roll adapter on it for a 17-inch and a 24-inch unit. 17-inch.
17 and 24 roll.
Don't even include the roll adapter for the 17-inch. Make us suffer.
Yeah.
Okay? You can use 17
$9.99
Yeah, what does
for the 17-inch.
Red River has 17 by 20 something by 30 something inches paper already cut to that size.
Yeah.
Buy those big long sheets and do your panoramas on it. Oh my God. And enlarge the size of the tanks. 120 ml each.
Yeah.
And charge me $30 for each bottle of ink. Because right now it's 18 for 70. So make it 30 and just give me another, 10 or 20 ml.
I think most people would be happy with the same size tanks.
But why?
But it would be nice, if they made them bigger.
And if I have the longevity,
It's a bigger printer.
if I have the longevity that these labs are claiming this inks formulation produces, then I'm not going to buy a P900.
Right.
So that's why they don't do that, you know.
Yeah, but they can
But I
make
don't
so
know.
much money.
I thought they were like targeting I thought that they realized that there's like a completely new group of people that think this is a photo printer and they don't need to go to a higher end pigment printer.
Yeah.
There's no gloss differential issues. I don't give a shit what I'm printing on. Matte paper still comes out beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has issues with red.
Yeah. It's a little too good.
Yeah. The XP 15000 does a better job on reds. It's got red ink.
Yeah.
The claims have been made that the XP 15000 outperforms this one photo wise. Yeah, okay.
For the amount of color, maybe.
But dude, unless you show me the one with the 12 channel printer, and I've done this, I have done these Pro 1000 versus 8500, 8550. It's very hard to see it.
Yeah, it's so close.
Unless you have demanding images that will take advantage of the ability of the Pro 1000. If your image does not have the need for a Pro 1000 output, it will match this.
Yeah.
And that he has to use Chroma Optimizer to remove the gloss differential problems. That's why they have gloss, the Chroma Optimizer. So why should I buy a $1,300 printer when I can just get on sale for $550?
I think they would still have an audience for pigment printers.
I'm not too. I don't know.
I mean, the dye inks are long lasting now anyway. They're almost comparable to the pigment, but they need to work it out so we can get the next edition of the 8550. We all want it.
Have you heard anything at all?
You would hear it before I do.
I don't have inside information anymore. Nobody tells me anything. So,
well, if I hear anything, I'll let you know. But
yeah,
I kind of doubt it.
This is Harold. Yeah, he is kind of a scientist. Yes, that's
the mad scientist.
Right. A mad scientist, possibly. Yes,
like me.
We all are. Yeah. All right, man.
Well, that was fun.
What is next? What are you going to do this week?
Yeah, work on 211.
I know what you're going to do this week.
It's just
we only have 20. We only have 22 people here, so feel free to divulge any ideas you may.
It's just little tweaks at this point, and I think I'm at the top of the curve now, where we kind of just start working on the Mac version.
A plateau.
Yeah, in computer science we call it local maximum. You know, and then once you break through that, you get to the next level. But I think we're at a point now where it's so good and it needs so little that I might fix a little bug in the interface here or there, little things like that, but kind of stay at the top of the curve while we make the Mac version, so that can catch up.
Operational bugs or little improvements.
Yeah, drag it over to this monitor and it doesn't look right. And I had my first complaint about somebody couldn't fit the whole Print Prism window on their monitor. And I'm like, what do you have, an 800 by 600 monitor from 2007? I'm like, it requires at least HD, 1920 by 1080. So if you've got like an 800 by 600 monitor on a 15-year-old laptop, yeah, it's not going to work on that.
Right.
So little tweaks here and there might be able to satisfy.
I would need a giant number 1, number 2, number 3, and somebody to walk me through the whole process with him, holding your hand. That would be like, to me, I could just imagine someone. I have questions from people who are, like they tell me, I'm retired, I'm 82, I'm on, fixed income. What printer should I get? And I don't know what to really tell them because I don't know what their real situation might be like. But someone like that getting into, like, maybe they were photographers during the film days and now they're retired finally, the kids are gone and they want to get into photo printing, not something on your phone,
Right.
um, and they need an application that is just absolutely foolproof. Well, you're almost there. Not yet, because people are still making mistakes, right? You have to deal
Yeah,
with,
but
yeah,
some of the mistakes I can't stop
yeah,
them from.
right.
But
All
the
right.
ones that I can, I try. So that's kind of why I compared myself to Tesla, because one of their monikers is the best feature is no feature. Like the less you have to interact with something and it can do it on its own, the better.
Right.
So I kind of take a page out of their book in my thinking, make it as
Right.
easy
It's
as
like when
possible.
I love once the scanning finishes and it detects the corners, I still love looking at all the little selectors. And
Yeah.
then that's when the very first time you automated this, that's when I realized, oh my God, this is creating the profile already. It must have been good because otherwise
Yeah.
it would have stopped, right? It would have just stopped.
Well,
Um,
it still can't detect everything. So
right.
like that extra added border, it
Yeah.
was off so little that it could still make the profile, but it was not a good profile because it missed some of the boxes.
Okay. So
But it's hard to tell that.
what about people that have a problem, maybe not skewing the printed chart?
It's pretty good with that. You can
Pretty good with
almost.
that. Okay. So
I tested it. In fact, if you print on an 8.5 by 11 sheet and you do the normal full page print,
mhm.
you can't turn it enough in your scanner to foul it up.
Okay.
In other words, your scanner is only so big,
Right.
and you can only tilt it this far before you start hitting
So you
corners.
can, yeah, skew it
If you
around
turn it as
and
far as you can, it still
still
works
able to
fine.
print.
Yeah. Now 5 by
That's
7, I'm
crazy.
not sure.
That
A
was
5 by
my
7, you
problem.
can.
That was my big problem initially. Let
Yeah,
me
it can be pretty crooked and still work.
I just lowered the volume a second here.
It doesn't even care
All
much
right.
if it's a little crooked. I mean, if you rotate it 20 or 30 degrees, then you got a problem. It'll tell you rotated too much.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my problem, where it was like initially not detecting corners, and I would
Yeah.
have to manually do that.
Now we're to the point that it'll detect corners every time as long as you print the target from Print Prism, so you know you're getting the full target with the correct amount of black border on all four edges. It never misses the corners.
And you still have the ability for
And you
someone
can
who
still do it
someone
manually if
who
you want
wishes
to.
to do it absolutely manually.
Yeah.
You can still do that. Yeah, at the bottom. Yeah.
If you wanted to manually cut the corners off, the black border off, so that you can fill out your 4x6 sheet, you could do it, but you're going to have to mark the corners manually.
Yeah, you said 4x6. You mean inches?
Yeah. If you tried that, because
Am I
that's all
brave
you've
enough
got,
to try that? I did the 5x7.
maybe next week.
I have some Chinese 4x6 paper back there.
I would go 600 DPI if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
So that would be a good one for next week. You could try that.
How would you do that with one of these? What's the diameter of the beam?
Oh, they're usually like 7 or 8 millimeters. So you can't do it with that.
Would not work.
No, you can't do it with
That would not work.
They
So
print 50 sheets, maybe.
all right. Yeah, that would not,
Tape them together. All right.
It's
been good.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Don't do anything. Watch TV all day.
Yeah, maybe I'll not code for a day.
All right. All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed our little impromptu chat. Any questions from anyone? This is your chance right now before I decide to go upstairs and take a nap. I'm tired. Any questions? Anything you might be wanting to ask? Did you have any issues? I know all of you installed version 2.10 already. I've been receiving texts from people who already did it. Harold says, thank you, Mike, for the lesson in color and all the work. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This guy.
I try to help.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing as well. So
And if anybody thinks of
I would take that
anything,
as a compliment, Mike, from Harold. Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
honest
I do.
compliment right there, buddy. Thank you.
There's always the forum, my forum, and you can get to that
I
from the
gotta
Print
check that
Prism
out. You're talking about
website.
the forum only for Print Prism, right?
Well, it's Print Prism and Q Image. It's
Oh,
right
okay.
on the main DDI software page.
But
It
do
says
you have
visit the community.
a section just for Print Prism?
Yep.
Okay, I want to check that
Yeah.
out. See what people are
And
asking.
I'm in there every day.
Am
So
I allowed to comment as well?
of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was only a two-way
Just
thing.
no, just sign up and everybody's in there commenting to themselves and to me. And yeah, thanks for that. We need more of that to get the word out because word of mouth advertising.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This should be
Definitely
selling by the
appreciate that.
thousands, folks. I'm
Yeah.
serious.
I think it will eventually.
Pass the word. Pass the word around.
It's just getting over the hump of disbelief, I think.
Had I not been hacked and lost 79,000 subscribers,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people that are still don't realize what happened, and they think they are subscribed. They found me, but they think they are subscribed, and they are not. Obviously, they got erased. They just refound me, and so they're not really subscribed. Keep subscribing. If you think you haven't subscribed, or you thought that you were still subscribed from say 5 years ago, you're not. You're no longer subscribed. So please subscribe, and of course, and like and all that good stuff.
I send people your way too from my forum. If somebody will ask something about how to refill certain cartridge or something, I'll say, I don't know. Go ask Jose. So, we'll try to keep the word out.
Yeah, I tell people how I discovered folks like you and Mike Lee, and now Matt McNamara is the Chicago owner of the Precision Colors. It was through testing, and originally all I wanted to do was make like little compilations of images on one sheet of paper, and I discovered QImage back in 2000. God, when was it?
Yeah, it was all based on need back then. There was nothing that
could
could print
4x5 and a 3x3 and a
there was nothing that could print multiple photos on one page. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's got to be software.
I got hooked.
But there wasn't back in the 90s, and that's how QImage was born. And then Profile Prism and Print Prism were born from me taking that Color Monkey photo, this thing here, and taking this thing and scrubbing it across each line of patches, and then I pick it up and I realize, it's got skates on the bottom right here, but they're not the smoothest thing in the world. So the first line that I go across, it's making abrasions on the next one that I'm now scanning with this thing. I'm like, there's got to be a better way than that, where you don't have to ruin your targets by scrubbing them. That actually makes it better.
The guide that the i1 Pro uses now, right here, is very smooth. I mean, it literally just falls by gravity.
Yeah, that's
the problem
better.
is when you move this row by row.
Right. It's
Let me show you the back.
I saw that in your video.
I don't know if you can see that. That's ink.
That ink. Yeah.
That is ink right there. So that touches the actual print. You better be absolutely bone dry. And could it abrade the surface? Of course it can.
Even if you're dry, one of these things, you're touching the paper and literally scrubbing it along the paper as you go. And each row that you do, it's making abrasions in the next row that you're scanning next.
Exactly.
And nobody ever talks about that.
Well,
so
and the technology that the Color Monkey used to generate a profile was quite different than the current, like the higher level spectrophotometers, right? You had an initial 50 patch chart.
I never had much luck with that. I used Argyle and with the same Color Monkey.
Yeah, then you print that. I mean, you scan that, and then you wait for the secondary 50 patch chart to come up. Were those colors generated custom generated according to what
Yeah.
the spectrophotometer saw from the initial default 50 color patch. I always thought, why is it taking a whole minute to generate the second set of patches? Is this custom generated?
Yeah. It's trying to figure out what it needs
Yeah,
based on what was missing from the first batch.
right. So that's total of 100 patches. Oh my God, that's a whole magic that has to take place.
I had the color monkey that I was just holding up. I had that down to where I could do one sheet in Argyle, and I think it was like 400 and some patches on one sheet, and I could get the job done with one sheet. It was better if I used two or three.
You did it by eye, right?
I had an alignment, a piece of plexiglass that I used for an alignment, but to help me. But
you make that yourself. That's not something you can buy.
Yeah. Or you could use a piece of wood, like a 1x1 or something like that. Anything to keep you straight. But the point is, I was able to finally. You can tailor those patches with Argyle to whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And I was finally able to, after using 3 sheets, then I got it down to 2. Then after 2 sheets, I got it down to 1. And I was able to pick just the right color patches for the printer that I had, which back then I think was the Pro 9000 and the Pro 100. I did some on the Pro 100 too. Oh. And the same sheet worked. So I had it down to 1 sheet and it worked pretty well. But
very good.
It still took a long time, and it was very tedious, and you never knew whether you were slightly over in the next row and that was affecting it. I mean, I could do 2 profiles and be lining that piece of plexiglass up and make sure I was right on there and do like you do, move it kind of slowly, optimally. I figured out what speed was good and then move it over. I could do 2 profiles like that and compare them, and it would be different. The yellows would be better in this one. The blues would be better in the other one, vice versa. And the only thing I could figure is sometimes maybe even though I was lining it up as good as my engineering mind could, maybe I would be off a little bit on one, or maybe I moved a little too fast on the next one or something. But, you got to figure too, you're moving with your hand. So I'm not a robot. I can't move my hand at exactly the same pace on this line as I do in the last. Of course, when you get out to line 12 or whatever it is, you're naturally going a little bit faster anyway, because you're like, I want to get this done. So you're not always moving the same. And sometimes you're scrubbing that on the surface of your paper. So you get this, what I'm talking about. You can't move it smooth. Sometimes it'll be moving up and it'll kind of like that. And
you get a little,
or at least you slow down a little. Like you can't do it perfectly smooth because you're moving it on a surface and it has friction. And friction is different as you move across the paper. So maybe it's the fact that, those things are sampling a certain number of times a second to try to read the color patches. Well, maybe this line, it got 12 samples per patch. And by the time I was at the end, it only got 6. And then I decided, I'm going to do a better profile next time. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to move it even slower. So I get a little bit different profile. So it's always different. And that was a downside to using those handheld devices too, in my mind, is that there's so much variation that, yeah, it worked, but there's a lot more room for making mistakes.
Did I ever tell you what Mike Lee did? He
did the G code and put it in one of the 3D printers. I thought about doing that too.
Yeah, he decided to do for the let's see. This is like version 1 of the sensor system for the Pro 1000. So he wanted to build little frames around this. So he used a filament type 3D printer.
Yeah.
Then, of course, he gave up on the idea. And then he had a friend write the G code to allow him to attach the spectrophotometer, the i1 Pro 1, to the head of the 3D printer.
I remember that because I thought that was
that
was smart.
Hundreds of profiles that way, automatically.
Yeah.
It would do the scan. It would press the button.
At least you could walk away.
Scan, let go of the button, advance with the X.
I had an old 3D printer and I thought about doing that too.
And so he was, X-Ray don't they make an automatic system? It's like $12,000.
One of those companies does. Yeah. I don't remember which one.
But yeah, he got it to work, and then eventually the printer died. I mean, the 3D printer died, and he dismantled it. So But yeah, he was able to automate it, and so that took a lot of the effort away from having to
Yeah,
do it by
it
hand.
definitely
He was
helps.
using Argyle anyway. He's using Argyle um,
Right.
as well. All right,
Yeah.
there's one more person here, Henry Stoffel. He's from Massachusetts. Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed our time here. We're going to go ahead and play a little slideshow, and I'll see you guys next. Let's see, next Sunday. We'll be back to the regular schedule. And Mike, you take care. Get
All
some
right.
rest, my friend.
You
Your
too.
shingles is gone. You're over that, or you still have it?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much gone.
Okay, awesome. That can be a pain in, yeah, a pain in the
In the
leg, right?
neck for me.
Yeah, yeah.
In the neck.
All
Yeah.
right. We'll see you next time. Hopefully, you'll be here to
All
answer
right.
some more questions. And
Yep. I'll leave the studio now so you can do your
all
wrap
right.
up.
Okay,
All
okay.
right. Thanks for having me on. I'll
Bye-bye.
see you later. All right. Bye.
All righty. That was a surprise. I wasn't ready for that. I thought he was going to answer questions on the chat, but that would have been such a pain to do that way. So I'm glad he took the offer to come on. All right. So did you guys enjoy what we did today? To me, it's just absolutely amazing that I can do something like this because I've had those 5x7s sheet of papers, and I thought, well, why don't I just make sure I can get red reverse profiles, of course, and use them instead. But why not make my own? Are they going to be better? They're going to be as good. I don't care. I needed to be able to make profiles from that much smaller size paper and super teeny weeny little patches. I don't know how it does that. I really do not know, but to get a result like this, and I think I am absolutely sure this is Richard Bender's image. Next time I see him, I'm going to give him this. He's getting ready for the photo display at the county fair here in Montgomery County, and this might be one that he should actually print. I should print this for him, and then just he can just take the credit for it. I don't care. It's his image anyway. He created it. But if he can do this on really not considered to be a really high quality photo paper, Pecos River. That's quite an old one, but it's glossy, beautiful, gorgeous, nice and heavy, and 8550 with a good profile from Print Person. That's all you need, folks. That is all you need. So at this time, let me load my thank you and see you next week. We'll put that behind the slideshow. We're going to play the Puerto Rico slideshow. How about that? So hopefully everyone will have a wonderful week. What's remaining of it? Tomorrow I'm going to be busy photographing a farewell for someone. And then Monday, oh, Nathan's out of school already. So no more pickups at the school. So I'm a little sad about that, but hey, what can I say? All right, that'll be it for now. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. And play. Bye.